What it do, Fortnite fam? Welcome to the Fortnite Champions Series. We're back and we've missed you guys so much. All I thought about all day yesterday was you, Fortnite fam, and now we're back. But you know who else thought about you? Of course, it's Levin, Duque, and Reese. Gentlemen, we had the Rift Tour week off and now we're back. Did you enjoy that action and are you happy to be here with our friends?
I was so excited, Zeke. You know, I was sitting at the Rift Tour. I was at every single one. I was so excited. I was just there like, just all excited. It was the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever. But no, we're back for, I don't want to say the second best thing ever, because FNCS is always just equally brilliant to anything you could possibly imagine. But look, I'm excited for it. We got the best Fortnite players competing, and it's always a treat, always a treat.
It's always a treat, and like I miss it. And when that week's on, the bye week's there, you know, it's between Qualifier 1, between Qualifier 2. I needed it. We had the sick event, but at the same time, I was like, I wanted some more FNCS. I want to get straight back into the action. So here we go. We have it now, and it's going to deliver.
That's right. We're going for 4 straight weeks, gentlemen. We got 2 qualifiers coming up. We got semifinals, rebound round, all that stuff. We'll talk about all that in just a second. First off, we got to talk about some stuff we're going to see on the show. If you've been here, you know what this looks like. If you're new, though, welcome. Great to have you. Let's talk about some stuff. If you guys enjoy what you're seeing, watch.fortnite.com. Another great place to check out the broadcast. You can have us, the leaderboards, both things up simultaneously so you don't miss a thing. But now let's take a look at the overall tournament format. Now, again, if you guys have seen this, it's not scary anymore. You've grown up, you've leveled up. For you guys with the new, fresh eyes, it's okay. No, little kids, okay. Just take my hand. Everything's fine. Look, we've got qualifiers to the left side. We got semifinals and a reboot round. That's 2 weeks from now. And then 3 weeks from now, we'll end on finals. None of that matters, though. That's our future stuff. Right now, Levin, we're going into qualifier number 2, the bottom left.
Yes, it's qualifier number 2. And how did the players actually get here? Well, they had to play through 3 rounds of qualifiers to get to what is round 4, which is what you're going to be watching on your screens today. And it's going to be a very interesting day because the top 3 teams in today's competition will qualify for the finals of FNCS in a couple weeks' time. But don't worry, right? If you don't get top 3, you are still competing for something rather important, rather significant, right? The top 99 trios at the end of the 3 qualifying weeks will be making it through to the semifinals on series points. And so plenty to play for in today's lobby. Of course, right, you want to get the top 3, you want to get a spot straight to the finals rather than just that semifinals.
Yeah, anyone who doesn't hit that top 3 is obviously still going to probably be a little bit disappointed that they just missed out on the auto qualification slot, but they do have the series points to make up for it and still later chances down the road. But if they want to make it to top 3, they have to gain points somehow, and this is our format. If you notice, first place will gain you 30 placement points total. And if you notice, the bottom right, it starts at top 24. So basically, once you get to top 24, you get 5 points. 17, you start gaining points all the way through. Top 3 and second, and obviously the first with the big victory royales, where you're going to get the majority of those big points. That's where players are really going to be aiming to get consistent in. Then, on top of that, at the bottom of your screen, 2 points per elimination as well. So, placement points, elimination points, nicely balanced out there. So, you're going to see them big pop-offs.
That's right, my friend. Balance is everything should be. Now, of course, at the end of this, when we go into finals, we are competing for prize money. And of course, you can't forget the Axe of Champions, an in-game pickaxe made of solid gold that I myself have digitized and put into Fortnite. It is an in-game pickaxe that only champions can hold and defend going into the next season of the FNCS. Now, we just got to see a look at our regions, and guess what? We can take a look at the regions that have already wrapped up their competition for today. We've got Asia, we've got OCE. So let's take a look at the standings, see how things went over there. Now, I'm probably going to butcher these names, and I'm truly sorry. Malu, Viking, Jamon, 168 points. And look at that race to miss that qualification by 1 point. You know, and the rest of them, oh my gosh, I'm so bad with these names. I never learned how to read. They're feeling bad, but still, that's okay. A fourth is essentially a first when we're looking at series point leaderboards.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they're going to be still happy with that placement. Oh, probably not as much when they noticed that they were only 1 point behind. And what really, really is devastating is that Flair's team was ahead for the majority of it. They were in that top 3, but in the final game, Otom's team actually picked up victory royale with 10 eliminations to push them into qualification into third. So they had a huge clutch in that final game. And look, it's a great comeback story for them, but for a Furious team, it's not exactly what you want on the day.
Yeah, that is rather painful. But let's take a look at OC, because there was something that I noticed was rather painful over Down Under. And look, obviously, right, seeing Volks, Radius, and Sync in first place is never a surprise. Some of the premier names on this region, they were incredibly consistent on the day and were able to secure top 3. And if you look at 4th place, right, Sorif, Esh, Raikou, they won 2 out of the 6 games and were not able to qualify. Just fine margins there, finishing on 154 points, barely missing out. That is rather painful, I'll be honest. When you win 2 out of 6 games in a day and you're not able to get the top 3, it can go wrongly mentally. But I'm sure they'll be back next week looking to fight for that auto qualification spot.
Dude, that's the balance that Reese was talking about, right? Being able to balance eliminations and placement. If you can't do both, this will happen. So you got to make sure that you can balance these things. But it's okay, right? We got 1 more week of qualifier. That's a great boon for them, especially going into next week's qualifiers on the series point leaderboard or the SPL. So we'll keep the ball rolling. Guys, we had this off week. The Rift Tour was insane. If you missed it, go watch someone's video because it's insane. But let's talk about what happened in Qualifier 1 2 weeks ago in case you missed out on the action over there. We had some Titans coming out of nowhere, all right? We had Benji Fishy showing up huge and qualifying in that #1 spot. We had the return of Aqua, who also showed up. Tayson was one pumping people left and right. Qualifier 1 was insane.
I think you summed it up pretty well, right? It was insane. And it was one of those things where, you know, we always talk about the break in between FNCSs and you come back. When you come back, you want to bang in week 1, and we did get a bang. We saw from game 1, right, seeing Hen, Janice, and Champions winning game 1, previous FNCS champions, you know, the sort of proclaimed best trio in the world, arguably, you know, coming out and dominating game 1. That was sick. And of course, some of the individual performances, you guys know how much I like Tayson. Of course, seeing Tayson go crazy in that tournament was, you know, particularly satisfying for me. But I'm just looking forward to seeing some of the teams who actually did miss out last week coming into the fray this week. Obviously, we can take a look at some of the stuff that happened last week. Some crazy moments here. Look, for Strokey, someone to watch out for. Reese, I'll be honest, if I'm talking about people who are, you know, you want to watch out for, there's a long list of competitors who played last week that you want to watch out for, right?
Yeah, there's a ton. And I think you picked on the absolute first one, right? We can't not talk about Vino, Tayson, and Reason, who placed 4th last week. They have basically the absolute exact same setup this week to go in, right? We know that they're ready, primed, ready to go. And I'm sure after just missing out on qualification by a single point, they're going to be really, really thought out after that. Same with Kirianchi, Stormy, and Toos. You know, last week, look, they didn't have a very good day, we'll say, after being contested by Meatfro, who basically won the majority of them off spawn. However, this week, they're uncontested. They're going to be looking good coming out with Slurpy Swamp. They should be good coming back this week to be stronger and hopefully place better than 30th, where they placed last week.
Yeah, and of course, right, one of the biggest surprises from last week, the winners overall, Joe, Shadow, Benji, Fishy. I'll be real, I did not expect to see these guys secure a spot in the finals, and to secure it in 1st place, right, in the fashion that they did was rather impressive. It remains to be seen, right, whether these guys will be able to get the opportunity to sort of work on their mistakes and the foundations of what makes a great trio. You know, these guys still have a ways to go before we consider them one of the elite trios of the region, but definitely put in a good performance. And at the end of the day, right, that's all you can ever ask for. You want to put in a good performance in round 4 and secure a spot in the finals.
I mean, it's amazing to see the success in Qualifier 1 from that team, right? From Benji, Joe, and Shadow there as well. And like you mentioned, right, I've seen a lot of their gameplay coming out through round 3s, round 1s, and this was the first kind of custom stage format that I'd seen them perform in. And obviously they performed hugely, but in those early rounds, they looked a little bit more shaky. They looked like they were, you know, not as confident. They had not a full game plan lined out, but when it came to the custom stage format, it completely worked out. And you can see exactly why, up in 1st place. Wave High Ground, we love the names. Thank you all for changing your names. That is Vidil, Noah, and Aqua up in 2nd. Then Hen, Janice, Champix, as we already mentioned, 3rd. Super close between all top 3.
Yeah, and look, Vino, Tayson, and Reason sitting there in 4th. And as much as, you know, they are going to be a team to watch out for, as they will be competing as well today, you know, they were excellent last week and probably coming into today as one of the biggest favorites. Reason, of course, beyond just them, right? You know, thinking back at the performances of the likes of Strokey, Karma, and Void, you know, even seeing Mitro, X8, and CR back in the fray, we also how they dominated Kiriachi's team over at Slurpee, which is not something you expect to hear about Kiriachi's team at Slurpee. So, you know, a great day of competition, and hopefully some of the names who are going to be competing today, you know, will be able to repeat that.
Yep, so big performances then. But look, this is last week. Let's have a look at what we're actually going to see this week, right? We have the list of the full teams who have qualified already through. And look, there are some huge names. We've already mentioned some. They've mentioned Vino, Tayson, and Reason on there. We've mentioned Kirianchi, Stormy, right, and Toos. You know, there's some huge other names. For me, Zico, Sun, and Jules. I talked a lot about them last season already. They actually split up. They split up this season already. Last week didn't go so well for them, so they got back together, and they've already popped off, made it back through here to round 4. So for them, after placing 10th overall in the finals, to be back here, I'm thinking this is looking good for them.
Yeah, and if we take a look over at that next page, get a look at some of the names who are competing. Page 2 is a very interesting one. At the very top of the page, you'll notice Andalex, Forzia, and Squeeze, and you also probably notice in third as well, Kezix, ZQ, and Falconly. Hold on a minute, if you're a Fortnite connoisseur like I am, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, these aren't names I'm familiar with seeing each other. There was a bit of a roster shuffle amongst the French-speaking players, and to be fair, they formed some pretty phenomenal trios of each other, considering a lot of these guys are playing with each other for the first sort of time. To get to round 4 of an FNCS qualifier is pretty impressive, but nonetheless, right, a team who definitely knows how to perform well in an FNCS. Flick and Nas and Thomas, they are going to be a massive threat. The Kings of Dirty Docks, I'm sure we'll get onto it later. Stacked lobby, very stacked lobby.
Very, right. If we go over that last page, this is the kind of final teams that we have got qualified through. You can see the only team who've managed to qualify through from last week on this final page, Shady Passive and AR Bafo as well. They had a little bit of a rough one last week being contested. This week they have it all to themselves, and they have some pretty contested players going around them. So I think if any week is going to be theirs to be as performance, they're being handed it this week as much as possible. So I'm looking for a big performance out of AR Bafo and his team.
Yeah, I like this team talk, boys. Let's keep doing this. While we draw, you know that we love to draw on the Fortnite map, so let's pull this up. Now, this is a brand new qualifier. We got a bunch of things to talk about. Levin, you talked about Flick, Anas, Thomas, HD over on Dirty Docks, the east side of the map. What can we expect from this trio? What kind of performances? What kind of highlight walking highlight reel? There it is. I almost impersonated Sancho West there. Can we expect from this trio?
I think, you expect Fortnite excellence. Individually, all three of them have the ability to take over a lobby at any given moment, record holders in their own specific rights. And, there's a reason why they're known as the Kings of Dirty Docks, right? They just dominate anybody who lands there. And I think they do that on any region in the world, right? These guys are just phenomenal. It's going to be interesting to see how they do in this set custom stage lobby. Of course, we didn't get to see them there last time. Another team in this sort of general area I'm really looking forward to, obviously Cami City and Teak, who land, at the self-proclaimed Cami split, right? Something that we are all very familiar with now. I think the big thing for these guys is sort of bouncing back, right? Obviously, they didn't have the greatest season last season, missing out on the finest, like when I say the finest possible margins, like the finest possible margins, they missed out on making it to the finals last season. So it's going to be about bouncing back, showing people that they are still a top trio in the region.
I like this top trio because, Reese, for me, we got to talk about Force. The FNCS Asia champion has actually come over to EU, paired up. He's got Seventor behind him. He's got Siberia behind him. And these guys are landing at retail row. Is this the stopping power this trio needs? I mean, this is an FNCS champion that they're paired up with.
I mean, I hope so, because Force has been switching teams a lot since he kind of moved over to the EU region this season.
Right.
But now he has non-contested drop spot retail row. But look, we already mentioned that he's surrounded by Titans, Thomas, Flick, and Anas, the same as Cami City, Teak up above. Now, one of the things I want to see from them, however, is a veteran play from a champion, right? I've already mentioned Zico's team in Catty Corner, but he's actually contested down there with 2 different teams. So what I'd hopefully see is, hopefully we're going to say Force's team makes a really, really good play and keeps away from those super veteran teams and moves further down and then rotates towards Catty Corner and fights those players or gets their Storm Surge tags there. Just generally makes a smart play, stays away from the Titans, who are probably going to be predicted in the top 3.
I do want to apologize because I had never seen Lightning strike twice except for this week, because Tayson, Reason, and Veno are actually uncontested at Believer Beach again. And I know if you were here last week, you'll be thinking, well, Levin, you assured me that wasn't possible. There were so many top teams that are going to be landing there again. Well, it happened, right? It happened because, with the sort of French-speaking roster shuffle, a lot of those top teams aren't landing Believers Beach anymore. And there were just a lot of top teams that sort of missed out. So here, Veno, Tayson, Reason, definitely a top team to look out for today. In round 3, they had 3 victorials. They had 79 eliminations. They had a brilliant performance. Their form is sky high at the moment, Reese, and they're definitely a team to fear coming into today, especially uncontested.
Yeah, those 79 eliminations is actually 20 more than the next team in round 3. So these guys were on fire. Like I said, their average placement was 6th yesterday. And then we already mentioned many times last week they placed 4th. So if you're not looking out for Veno, Tayson, and Reason this week to perform and be in that top 3, I think you're batting for the wrong team,
Yeah.
I like this. All right, we're about to get ready to jump into the games. But first, we got to talk predictions, gentlemen. We got to talk about what trios we think will come out in those top 3 qualification spots. Levin, Tayson, Veno, Reason. I mean, what more can we possibly say? Good luck finding those words, Levin.
At the end of the day, Zeke, I'm a simple man. You say predict, I say Tayson, because it's just Tayson, right? So Tayson, Vino, Reason, they performed incredibly well last week. I expect them to do the same this week, but this time actually get top 3 and hopefully first place.
I think it's a good prediction regardless if they don't come top 3. I think it's got top 10. But look, I've gone with Kiriachi, Stormrat, and Toos. Last week we already said they had a real toughie. They had a hard one. This time, look, when it comes back to the previous season in Qualifier 2, they came first. So apparently I'm superstitious and we're going with them coming first as well.
Yeah, and look, Shire's gone with Cammy, Seti, and Teak. They're definitely a team who has a lot to prove, and a team who in the past has shown their quality, their unique play style is one that's been successful over the course of seasons, and so hopefully they can bring that to the competition today.
Yeah, and Sancho's Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. Do we need to say much about these guys? They are just absolute titans, season after season. They're in their dirty dog spot, like we've already mentioned. So ready.
That's right. Speaking of ready, we've got Sancho West, we got Xiao Injure. They're standing by. So boys, over onto you.
Thank you so much for that glorious intro, Zeke, Levin, and Reese. It was, week 1 of FNCS Squalls, followed by the Rift Tour. And it might look like Sancho and I are still on vacation, but it's really time to get to work, Sancho, because Titan Trio is still here, a roster shuffle, and it all clashes over 6 games to see who's the top 3.
Oh, yeah, man. Vacation's over. It's time to put in the work, and it's time to see who is going to finish in that top 3. It's what I'm talking about. It's FNCS. It's Qualifiers week 2, and we talk about who's going to be in that top 3. Is it going to be Tayson Day?
It might be his day because, the biggest thing we saw with Tayson in week 1, coming through in 4th, coming in with also one of the most insane clutches. This entire trio has been on full cylinders this entire FNCS, but not qualifying, right? And the entire conversation was who's going to start contesting them at Sweaty, at Behaviour Beach. Who is actually going to be dropping in and giving these guys a hard time. You look at the map right now, Sancho. They're still high, mighty, dry, and free. This might be the pedestal they need with these, big top 3 trios already qualified now for them to take over week number 2.
You talk about the top 3, and that is Aqua. That is always on high, and Aqua, no doubt, slow down Tayson. Check out the feed already lighting up. Irez, Umi getting an elimination. Hero getting a couple eliminations. We see in the reports of the early drop spots, things are kind of shuffling. I've noticed a lot of people are missing medals. No doubt people are moving around because I see that Lazy Links is Lake is a place where I'm really hoping for Lazy Links to come back. Lazy Lake is a place where you see a lot of contention, but now this is quite interesting. Last week we didn't see any fights here. Boney Burbs. Now we're seeing a fight between Mappy, Exterios, and we have Backfly, Hydro, and Zestin.
It's always gets a little bit hairy over at Boney Burbs week to week. Sometimes it's free, but does let and unleash a big trio to just roll around the map. Sometimes it gets contained like this. A fight breaks out usually fast. Right now it is a little bit both ways, very patient as you can walk through, but it's Mappy making a big move on the back feet all the way towards the top, but he catches a big shot. Meanwhile, Hydro and Exterios, they're in a world of hurt too, and in a blink of an eye, Sancho, that fight gets finished.
And they had to do it in a blink of an eye. The Loot Boy trio understanding that lurking out in Behaviour Beach is Tayson's trio, and no doubt Tayson's trio would consider third-partying into Boney Burbs, but this is going to be a drop spot contention that we're going to keep an eye on throughout the day, Shio.
32 teams who just started off on this island in game number 1, 2 already down, so you can see how reserved most of the map is actually playing for the moment. That might change very, very soon, though, because with the central zone, you'll find people fighting for position, for hills, moving away from their POIs a little bit to get topped off on brick like Backfee's doing right now. Many things you guys might be doing in your own games back home in arena or when you're playing through. Regardless, some fights, they end up taking a while. Nate Robab, Snazy, it's a nice roster switch. It seems kind of fresh, but for game 1, Sancho, they're put on ice.
You cannot contest Malabuca's trio down at Steamy Stacks. They want to cash cup this season. They are by far probably one of the best trios landing there. I know Indretta, Savage, and Refsguard, they qualified through the spot, but they put a lot of pressure Malabuca's trio did, and that is what you saw, a quick wipe up right there of Nate's trio. And Nate is a no slouch.
Not at all. You saw the format pop up on screen as well. The Victory Royale being worth 30 points towards the end of the day. So these fights can actually end up affecting, a 10th of the overall placement you get from that total win. When you roll in at the end of the day, you are looking at, a fight basically giving you, 2 times 3, 6 big points in total. That's huge off spawn, especially if things work fast for you. You get all the players back up and alive. Like we saw that Loot Boy fight happen at Boney Burbs as well. If you get contested sometimes, Sancho, and you're just the definitive better team, it might be a good thing throughout the whole day.
We're taking a look at that feed right there. That is Bobby's trio landing in Pleasant Park. So that is a common rotation for people landing in Pleasant Park to make their way down into Boney Burbs. And like I mentioned, because there are 2 trios landing in Boney Burbs, expect a lot of third parties to roll their way, but no third party will come to the Dirty Docks. Now, speaking of more action, it is down happening here at Lazy Lake, and it is Steelux, Ori, and Nodik here, and they are actually in landing center, and they're trying to, it's always when it comes to Lazy Lake, it's always people trying to just get involved, trying to third party, get those valuable Storm Surge tags.
That's a fresh flavor too. You'll notice that these are not going to be, or these 3 players are not going to be one of those teams returning, the 10 from qual number 1. They're going to be having fresh faces as to exactly how to attack the competition in a round 4 setting, in a set lobby setting. And, you mentioned the entire trio of Anas, Thomas, Flick. You got Seti, Cammy, Teak on that side of the map. That'll be very difficult for, newcomers to kind of take over. Meanwhile, though, classic fights we see over at Pleasant Park, who with Pickus and Kawaii are going to be facing off against the trio as well. They're kind of bunkering down already. This is a nice strategy to kind of stall things out, maybe catch someone up top tripping, but it's AR Baffo on the other side of your walls. These guys are experienced fighters, Sancho. They don't fall for cheap power tricks.
Baffo's trio's coming from the deep woods dish right here, so they're rotating through into zone 1, and so you can expect to see this confrontation happen multiple times throughout the day. Now, you kind of have to wrap this up quickly.
Absolutely. You can see the way they're kind of fighting this war of attrition with the materials and the ammo, a 3-way split, making sure to rat away at every single wall and pyramid, especially if it even gets edited. It's so much easier to break those builds down. Winey has that sniper rifle, is looking for a little way to maybe get a peek in, but once again, they see an edit. They spray at the pyramid, even if it's the floor.
Let's talk about what's going to happen here once they get through this altercation here. You still have, Bobby's trio already moved their way through. They already pushed their way through Boney Burbs, so that trio is going to be waiting for them out in the distance. So you got to keep that in mind as you see Pucher picking up Splash, getting a knock right there. That is all that's happening in the south. Here's the first peek here of the zone 1 scene. It's going to be a centralized east zone here. And what's so exciting is last week, Shia, we had a lot of central zones, not a lot of coastal in-game, so it kind of gave like an even playing field. And that is why Aqua's trio was able to take height easily, because they didn't have to deal with a lot of natural terrain obstacles.
Yeah, big trios keep, just in mind of right now who can control this map very well are Cammy, Seti, Teak, Anas, Thomas, Flick. We're basically at their homes now. We get to see what happens when they get given the best cards to play with at this table.
Absolutely, and we have to definitely take a look what's happening at Corning Complex as well. That is on the north side, because a lot of people were planning to land there. We have Roban's trio who landed there last week. Bad Sniper making an appearance, might possibly landing there, so we'll keep an eye on that. But Shio, I gotta take a step back. When we're doing Qualifier 1, I was like prepping my notes, and I'm like, oh, Thomas HD is gonna make it, but no. Thomas HD's trio did not make it. And Shio, these were we labeled blockbuster. They were making hit after hit after hit in previous seasons. I mean, right now they came in second, third, and then now they're in 4th place coming in the previous season FNCS. Will they get 1st place? I don't know, man. They haven't come in with that hot vibe that they've been usually rolling into the FNCS season.
I mean, when it comes to round 3, 2s, and 1s, sometimes random things can happen and their flair might be put away slightly, but you got to remember, right? 4th place overall, you're looking at things in terms of, how FNCS finals get played. They get very close all the way towards the top. It might not be auto-qualled. At the same time, when you let these guys lose, Sancho, in a set lobby, you put Cammy, Seti, Teak next to them as well, so they can get the brunt force of the rest of the map in case they want to maybe affect Dirty Dogs or Retail wants to take a bite at them. They end up playing very, very well. They know exactly how to control things, know how to play around that Cammy split as well with the proper timings, controlling these mountains. And Thomas HD is on the team. We have to bring this up every time. The best sniper in the world. Storm Surge tags are not a problem for this trio. They always end up late game as well, fully clutching out. I think Agra might have given them an issue in the past, maybe sometimes being over at Dirty or doing some crazy things in the early game. As you see, he's on screen right now with his trio. They're nowhere close towards that full east side. They're going to be landing a little bit over towards the left ways of things, and it's going to be looking good for both teams here entirely. For you mentioning Thomas, Anas, and Flick, these guys just look to be at least in the top 3 today.
Ingram's trio previously in the qualifiers, taking some shots at Alchemy's trio right now. They finished 11th place, so just outside the top 10 in the last set lobby here. Vox, Ingram, and Leclerc Buzz basically landing at Defiant Dish. So you're right here. There are no strangers into these mountains. You already talked about earlier in the cast is these are the prime places for those valuable Storm Surge. As you can see, they're trying to get Falconese trio to pay the toll.
Yeah, I like that you kind of highlighted Falcon's trio rolling in as well. When you're looking at this new flavor, every single player on that trio to me just screams individual firecracker. These guys just light the fuse in charge, stay a little bit low ground or beside other trios and big points of interest, and then explode every time they just find an opportunity to just shine as bright as possible. Egram will start moving. They might collapse on this and try to look for some tags from the backside. We might see some shots come out from Kha'Zix, but they're actually under pressure, and as they move, other trios also have to move around the map.
Kha'Zix trio, of course, Falcon Lee and ZQ coming all the way from Holly Hatchery. So there's that long rotation, but you're talking about the French shuffle. Kha'Zix is one of those people that kind of had to find another trio. It's quite interesting. Even though all these French players are all mixing it up and switching up trios, they've had experience in playing other, third-party tournaments, duos, and other squads and things of that sort in the past. So there's still no strangers to the art, but hey, once the pressure's on for the FNCS qualifiers, things kind of shake out quite differently.
Especially in game number 1, when everyone is, kind of like high school kids at prom or just at a dance towards the walls. No one's looking to interact. Everyone's just chilling around. Yeah, they're just waiting. That might change though. Even Taste and Reese and Vino, they're making sure they take things a little bit slow. They want to make a mistake earlier on, and this is very smart boxing right in front of Versa and Fly. No matter what these guys do above them, Taste and Reason and Vino have more firepower. They can even end up moving first and ultimately bully Versa in the next zone move.
And we're getting into the opening moments here. It is the second week of qualifiers. We had a bye week for the Rift Tour for Ariana Grande. And this is game 1 if you're just tuning in for the EU region. And all eyes are on this trio who came in 4th place. No doubt, Tayson, the highlight maker. Reason with some great eliminations, and Vino as well. Like I mentioned, this is an all-star trio that formed together after the FNCS All-Stars. All of them finished in the top 10. So let's see what they can do working as their second opportunity here. Remember, they've won 2 cash cups already, Shayo. So they're going to be a trio that is formed really nicely, very, very quickly.
All-star squared, basically, for these guys. A trio title name. We'll see what they do from here. You'll notice 167 damage above on the right side. That is Storm Surge. You basically have to deal damage, or the server will start to deal damage to you entirely in bursts of 25. Parasite on Vino's head as well. That'll save him from a bit of damage in these fights. Is it get nerfed slightly entirely to how much HP it actually can take? But a lot of pros, if you see them having 75 HP, it's not a mistake. It's not that they don't have med kits. It takes away that HP for that extra shield.
Yeah, these parasites are now not really used to the Fortnite island, as you're seeing the storm is affecting them, so it's lowered their HP. So any extraterrestrial life visiting the Fortnite island has to make some adjustments. And right here, Kha'Zix definitely has to make the adjustments as well, working with this trio. That's a very tough point. Holly Hatchery is a very tough rotation for this zone. You talk about Kenzel and that trio being there. Kenzel's not here. Wakey and iDrop not here, not at all.
And it's not even, exactly how the entire competition looked from, round 3 to round 4, from zone 1 to 2 now. A lot of people still stuck in the storm. I just watched Podesai still walking in and have some trouble there. Storm Surge down already. Kiriachi, who gets to finally just play a week, kind of for free. Mitro caged up in the corner with CR and X8. Didn't get to make it through this week, but that means that these guys will have free reign over the server.
Catching back up, Prototype's trio having issues, not being able to get in, being held out by Falcon Lee's trio right there on Storm Edge. But you talked about not dealing with CRR and Mitro's trio right there alongside with X8, but still, man, that abductor came in and the mothership messed with their POI. That was some big concerns going for this trio. How would they handle it? I saw them in the qualifiers. They were going to Believer Beach for a little bit for a couple of rounds, but they decided to go back into their Slurpy Swamp. I mean, this is what they do best. They know it. They're going to still know the rotations, but it's just going to take a little bit longer to loot their POI now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised too, Mitro not qualling, going back in time and being the pilot of that abductor Sancho to make sure
probably
not surprise me. But we'll see exactly finally how these guys get to operate endgame without pressure when they actually get to make the entire plan from drop all the way to zone number 9. Everyone right now, though, Sancho around is kind of held up on the zone line.
We saw them actually last season do really well. It was like Kirachi coming back again. I mean, this is what we've been seeing. That's another theme that's developing in the FNCS is the old names make a comeback. We just saw Benji make it in the #1 spot last like last qualifiers, which is 2 weeks ago, along with Shadow and Joe. And we saw Aqua get in as well. I'm wondering what other big name will be able to make a comeback. And hey, we talk about an old name in the region. Bad Sniper is definitely one of them, and his trio is making his rotation. And Shia, we all have seen a lot of end games here in the Cammy split. Things will get quite spicy, considering that there is a lot of mountainous terrains in the distance.
Yeah, anything can happen from this zone. I've seen it go all the way down towards Misty Lake. I've seen it fall all the way past Dirty Docks as well, depending on how those moving zones bounce. The big thing to note, though, no matter where the zone goes, the players will stay the same in the server over 6 games. You mentioned Bad Sniper, Thomas and Nos Flick right beside them as well, and Era Baffle from Pleasant Park all the way out towards the northern side of the zone, boxed up as well, looking very healthy. I see Tayson in the distance as well, looking towards the actual satellite tower or the big dish base. Going to be the only trio actually really controlling it properly. I think it might be Versa right behind them. That's only going to be a squad of 2 to worry about, though.
Last time we saw Bad Sniper was in the FNCS All-Stars, finishing 20th place, and he actually had to play in that tournament, you know, coming in 8th place during that solo play-in. So let's see what Bad Sniper could rekindle the fire of FNCS here. But my question is Anas Thomas Flick, as you see him on the bottom right of your screen, as the storm is about to reveal itself again, and they have a very difficult pool, but I would say it's not too bad. I mean, they're essentially going to have to figure out who's going to go first, but a lot of these trios, I believe, are going to be very intelligent. They're not going to take an engagement, but it's still with Thomas HC out there with the sniper armed. You got to be careful here. And this is what Bad Sniper, as what you're seeing right here in his POV, folks. He's trying to figure out, is someone going to pad? Are we going to walk? There's a very difficult rotation if you mistime this one here.
Everyone's kind of waiting. Malibuka makes the first move. No matter what happens, I feel like Tenzin and Trixie up there will stay a little bit longer, looking for tags for all these flyers moving in.
Yeah, look at Tayson right there up there on the dish base, already protecting that permanent pad. There it is. Nicely done. Making sure that is his route to make this rotation. He's going to have an easy glide over.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Jaggy right there, a little bit of an elevated tower. It's screaming to me that they're just waiting for one person to fly, and this might be where they're starting to make those edits. Yes, Tayson might be in a little bit of trouble, but that tree line covers them. Shots from all angles, 360 degrees, but they leave unscathed.
Unbelievable use of the tree line right there, just zigzagging all the way through, and just a warning shot with the hand cannon to let you know, if you peek again, my friend, I will greet you with the bullet.
That's customary for Reason, right? That's the way he likes to talk. That's his language, just firing shot after shot. Long range, you're in the box.
Now rotations are developing right here. Vino, Tayson, and Reason making a great rotation with that permanent pad. We did see Cammy out there in the distance. Now they're being held out by Reason, Tayson, and Vino. We've been talking about the heartbreak trio of Cammy, Teak, and Seti, and to see them go down at this moment would be a terrible thing, considering, like Levin said, they're looking for that bounce back, and that bounce back may be denied by Reason and Tayson and Vino.
They tried to test those walls, but you can tell when you're up against a top trio, the defense there, all the way from Cammy's side to make sure that no matter what happens, he has another extra box in front of him after the fact to defend against shots. Reason kind of analyzes, sees that, stops even shooting at those metal builds, focuses on a stand up, but then he defends as well. It looks like every base here right now, Sancho, is completely impenetrable.
You're looking up at height for a moment here, and Alexis trio sitting up there. But let's go ahead and let me plant the seed for you out there, folks. Cammy's trio had to build their way into the zone, and you saw Tayson's trio just glided their way in. So that's about 200, 300 mat savings right there for Tayson's trio. So hey, if Cammy's going to operate on the low ground, we got to take a peek at their mat count. Now let's take a look at Lyzen Meta here with some great opportunity to get a refresh and not only some eliminations, but some valuable loot and mats here. But Meta, you got to watch out. Watch your backside. Edit open elimination right there. It happened, and look at this scrum that's happening right in front of us, folks. Multiple trios on this storm line.
Man, Meta looked like the chef right there, just kind of preparing, seasoning every single box with some bullets. Suddenly, Sancho thrown in a blender, but didn't get chopped up, served, or smooth. He gets saved. Lyzen gets the clutch revive here in a situation between 5 different trios. How is this possible?
I don't know, but what is not happening right now is Flick and Anas. They went down in the feed. They've been eliminated, Shio.
Oh no, so that big low ground rotation surrounded by top teams, too much pressure to handle. They get taken out, but as a result, the mats, they go over to Tayson, and these guys build a big 3 1-by-1 box tower. That's going to be huge to play off of. Andalex, though, going to be paired with ForceZR and Squeeze. They're looking to actually elevate slightly as well inside the zone, but they're going to get bombarded from all sides. ForceZR gets taken down. Squeeze will try to hit that revive up, but they're right on zone line. They're getting focused. Squeeze down to just 30 HP, Sancho. This is looking so bad.
Analyx Trio invested in height, but they were greeted by Bagfly's Trio right there. And look, Reason's Trio is on height, and Analyx had everything working for them. They had a Parasite, they had everything, and they had height, but no, Analyx goes down. Squeeze, ForceZR, the new French Trio eliminated.
And that's not just an elimination, that is a gift and present. On Analyx's body, I believe, were 6 peppers as well.
Whoa.
That now are going to be in the hands of Tayson and Reason with Vino. That is going to be an accelerated game. You're basically putting, you know, speed at the hands of the fastest and most lethal trio in the lobby.
It's turbo mode for that trio, and now we're going to see another rotation. It's the first moving, and it's going north. This is zone 6. 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all going to be moving zones, and that 9 is going to go all the way to close. But right now, it's at height. It looks like Tayson is trying to close the qualification right now and let the rest of the lobby know it is my time. And hey, if Tayson's trio goes in, that's another trio that Tayson's going to take to the finals.
They might be on high ground and have very good position for the moment, Sancho, but you see Steady, Cammy, Teak, they're still alive right below them. I feel like it might come down to these 3 or 2 trios at the end of the day. At the same time, though, it's time to get flying. It's time to roll. Everyone's got to move. Bat Sniper's going to be one of the last ones to get going.
And he has to definitely get going and get some beams, so that's why he's delaying the rotate. There he goes, glides over. Got to be careful. He's going to try to fly underneath height to save himself some of the beams here. Gets tagged for a little bit. Great position right here, but now he's second from height alongside with the other trios on the other side there. So you got to be careful here. But my question for you, you talked about Cammy. You're seeing them. Do they have enough mats? Did they find the refresh that they're going to need to contest height when the time comes to?
That'll be the big question. Bat Sniper, though, he's trying to reserve a few. Go through every old build possible, but it takes a lot of risks and a lot of maybe difficult choices to make as you move through it. Loses a lot of shield, is able to get a little bit up though. Sapphic goes down below to Hooker. You will see so many different boxes side by side. There's no room here, Sancho, to breathe at all, but up high, the oxygen, it's plentiful. Tayson, Reason, Vino, they might be taking a little bit of damage, but they're keeping the server absolutely contained.
That's what's happening at height. They're containing them and putting the pressure. Here down below, it's a different story. 258 below Storm's damage, and Arthur in a world of hurt. Let's see who else has a great advantage here. No one really has control of the low ground.
And the low ground gets even harder to play. It's slightly getting elevated on the ground, Sancho. Everyone on ultimate low will have to go up, but everyone up is getting squished by Tayson to move down.
It's the pressure and the squish is on, and look at it. Shaykos is now up with Bad Sniper here, and they're just barely above, and look at the feed. Trixie goes down. All that pressure is colliding, and everybody's being pushed together. Irez Umi sitting on the front side all by himself. Cammy and Zedetik are on the mid layer doing really well.
They get a little bit of freedom though. The entire server kind of expands on low ground now. Everyone gets to get their own little box, but Sancho, they've been splintered in halves and thirds. Shaykos by himself. I think that Steady might be by himself as well. Toos is picking up Elims over and over again. Bat Sniper finally goes down. Suddenly there's a little bit of breathing room, but these guys don't have any lungs left to inhale.
Look at it, Kirachi, Toos, they're still up. Floki's trio is still up, and Kirachi's trio is on the front side in a very dominant position. But look at this, 6 eliminations out moving forward, and it's getting closer to the elevation. So that just means so much pressure is going to be pushed by Tayson from the height. Irez getting some great eliminations on Clement. Artur getting eliminated by the Storm. But Tayson, look, it's Cammy and Teak on the front side, but Reason's putting a lot of pressure on them and slowing them down. Kirachi down there is on the front side too.
I thought it was just Steady alone, but his entire trio is able to catch up, and they're looking good on shields too. The only other trio remaining left alive trying to take away anyone around them, but at the same time, Tayson hasn't stopped shooting shots the entire time they've been on height. Hookah goes for a big take, but he gets denied immediately. Flopper's available for Teak, but he goes down too. The slurp cannon gone. Cammy's HP is also gone, and Tayson, Reason, and Vino, they look unscathed.
It's going to be a guaranteed victory royale for Tayson here. It's going to be a matter of moments before they get it. Cammy, though, Cammy's doing his best, getting 2 eliminations, but Cammy here with only 24 HP. It's going to be a matter of moments. He is rocking the Booga outfit here, but can Cammy here? Oh, a 92! Okay, but it was just too much. It was Vino and Tayson's and Reason's time, getting the first victory royale alongside with 9 eliminations. Hey, once they're on height, it's a wrap, man.
Absolutely. Cammy tried to switch and slide. He hit that 92, but Tayson, Vino, Reason, they look more than alive, Sancho. These guys were operating like a 6-man squad. They had so much pressure, and they made the server just shut up.
Oh, no doubt. They are a trio on a mission, and that mission is to hit the top 3, maybe pushing for the #1 spot. But we got ourselves a nasty trio as well on the desk. Let's kick it to Reese, Levin, and Zeke.
Sancho, stop. You're so freaking funny. Wow, what a great first game here. You know what's crazy, Levin and Reese? You guys spend a lot of time talking about these power trios coming into the competition, qualifier number 2. And this is exactly who we saw as these top 5 trios that are remaining, right? Cammy, Steady, T, Kiriachi, Stormy, right, Vino, Tayson. And then for them to walk away ultimately with the victory royale, I mean, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, honestly, it was ridiculous, right? Seeing some of the, sort of top competitors in the sort of final stages of that game, they're like we're used to seeing. We saw this last week, Reese, right? Where, the final 2 were literally the 2 favorites coming into last week when Hen Johnson Chapter won game 1. This game, though, was absurd, right? Because you have Tayson, Reason, and Reno, who obviously we hyped up as being probably the favorites coming in, but it's like they are so insanely good. Like, they are just absolutely clear of almost every other trio in the lobby. And the thing is always, like, when Tayson is in such effervescent shooting form, right? He had so many eliminations that game. They're just going to be a problem. They're going to be an absolute problem.
They are 100% going to be a problem, but I'm very okay to sit and watch that be a problem to every other team as they stay and fly up the leaderboards. I am a little bit concerned, remember though, how because last week they started off really hot as well. They had 2 seconds immediately off the bat. Then they kind of slowed down and let other teams take over. So they managed to pick up this big first victory royale. It was fantastic, but I want to see them keep doing that. I want to see them at consistency up to the next 5 games.
That's right. We'll have to see how this goes, but there's a lot to talk about coming out of this first game. A lot of these trios going head-to-head, and these fights not quite going the way we would expect them to go. So Reese, Levin, take it away for us.
So we're going to look at some of the drop spots we have. Malabuca's Mustache, we quickly saw this up in Steamy Stacks as well. This has been one of the kind of drops that we've seen change up from Nate's team, right? We kind of thought originally these guys may have been going down into Catty Corner, but no, they've switched over here. And another little bit of the French team's landing. We've seen more switch ups here from Catty Corner now over to Misty Meadows. We have Xweez and Andalex's team, but at the same time, we have 3 teams here overall. Splash, Coral, and Mawaka there, along with Deceptos' team on the right-hand side. So 3 teams managed to land in Misty Meadows, all completely uncon without fighting each other, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of highlighting on the French teams in particular, as we see Leo going down there, I think the one interesting thing for me is, of course, a lot of these new French teams that have formed have actually done incredibly well in even being able to make it here to round 4. But, the chemistry of Spawn, especially when you have someone, for example, with like Nate, right? Nate, Vorzia, these kind of people where they are just so used to landing in their specific POIs, which is, Believer's Beach. How do they fare elsewhere on the map? It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds as the day goes by. At the moment, it doesn't seem to be going phenomenally, but it doesn't even seem to be going too bad either. So as we take a look at the standings after game 1, not a surprise to see Veno, Tayson, and Reason sitting there in first place. Link, Fury, and Arizumi, who we saw win their fight over at Lazy, also sitting high on the leaderboard in second place. And of course, Seti, Cammy, and Teak, as much as their final sort of moments of the game didn't go how they would have wanted it to, Cammy couldn't have the 1v3 clutch of dreams. They are still sitting in third place, which isn't too bad.
And looking in 4th place with Kiriachi, Stormy Right, and Toos as well, this is kind of typical of their playstyle. They ended up placing 4th with 5 elims. I swear, if you ever look at Kiriachi's team, they always have like 4, 5, 6 elims, but as soon as you start watching the placements, unbelievably consistent, right? This is what we're going to see, a 4th, something like a 3rd, a 5th. They're just going to keep coming with those top 5 placements over and fly up the leaderboards. But we have a look over to the next page up to number 11 down till 20th. These teams are going to have to start doing something a little bit more in these next few games.
Yeah, in particular, Andalex, Vorzia, Squeeze, I think this is going to be a huge test for them. I think, in terms of Andalex as a whole, playing with Xweez, I think the performances over the past couple weeks / months haven't been where you would have expected it to be at a certain point, right? Considering how high they were at a certain point in the year. So to bring in Vorzia, who we know how great Vorzia is as a player, definitely high expectations. You definitely expect these guys to come back into the fray as being one of the top trios in the region. And of course, it is just game 1, but you know, something to watch out for over the course of today.
Yeah, and with Andalex's trios previously, sometimes in particular when I'm thinking back to the previous season's finals, right? Day one, they were, it was a bit shady. They were kind of missing a lot. They were really down on the leaderboards, but day two, they really flew up those leaderboards. They had that kind of mid-map kind of change where they wanted to change their drop spots, change their strategies. And I think today we could see the same thing. So if they don't pop off too much at the start, I think plans will be reassessed. Then they're just going to keep flying back up too. I'm not too worried about them.
When Reese is not worried about a trio, you know they're going to do well. I mean, he's just one of those guys that just happens to know. A very scary start, though, for this #1 trio. Tasted coming in hot. Remember, last week, second place, 6 eliminations. This week, a victory royale with 9. So this is where they want to be. They're already looking great with series leaderboard, series point leaderboard. You know what? I'm done. Sancho, Shadowidger, why don't you guys just take? We got 5 seconds anyway, so just gonna come your way and just save me, please. Send help. Just send help.
We gotta send someone Zeke's way, Sancho. Still, you know, in game #1, any trio start to fly, soar high towards the Tay sun, but their wings kind of, you know, caught on fire, burned a little bit. Will high ground still reign supreme, Sancho, or does these low ground situations have a chance?
I don't know, man. I was kind of thinking about that myself. You know, this whole thematic battle between high ground and low ground. Bottom line, you're going to have to get victory royales and you're going to have to get near the double digits. And Tayson already is on a roll with his trio style. And here we go. We're on a roll with game 2. Game 2 of 6. Remember, this is qualifiers 2. Top 3 get in. And look at that already. Mappy getting a knock on Hydro. And you know what? That has to make Andalix a little bit happy because it was Hydro and Backby and Zestin that slowed down Andalix's push at height. And does Kemi get any tags? No. But that was the thing. Oh, wait. Who? Tayson's being contested by One Last's trio? Hello? Hey. Pull aside, Nikov. What are you doing?
You're talking about, you know, the relationships from last game. I think these guys were taken out by either Tayson or someone towards the left side of the map. So they're looking to change things up a bit. They don't want to, you know, be late for Storm entirely, but it looks like 3 free elims for Tayson's squad.
Whoa. And not only that, valuable Storm Surge as well. But yeah, I mean, hey, that's the one thing you got to look at this whole thing that's happening here.
Absolutely, but there's only 1 elim here right now. So it must have been a beam out of the sky, possibly. We just saw
I don't know.
Someone trying to do it on force. Tayson's going to be going straight over to that knock. Yes, he might have caught someone. You see the ramp built up right there, going all the way towards this north side of the map, and you'll see Tayson move straight in. You can see the knocked arrow there too. He's on the hunt, Sancho. He's a shark.
Detective Shio Wazer in the building. Be able, there it is. Yes, it is Nikov, Wanlas, and Podesai landing in Coral Castle. I mean, these are the guys that haven't been found at home. And I was thinking, like, well, you know, maybe Coral Castle you could figure out. No one's really done really well outside of Coral. I mean, Kenzel had a great run out of Coral Castle, but Tayson's on the hunt. He's going to go ahead and take on the rest of Nikov and Podesai by himself.
I don't know what this man's doing, but I kind of respect it. This is I like this flavor. I mean, once again, by himself completely. Now his trio's kind of moving in, but this is a crazy push.
Listen, he is trying to claim the entire quadrant. You know, you see all the social media posts, everyone does a POI. This man is trying to claim the top left of the island.
Hey, give him a few more quals to play. He might just claim the whole map at this rate if he's going for knocks like this. Build a bigger ramp next time over at Believer Beach off the hotel Tayson. Get a few more elims. They're going to be just landing Coral now. I mean, you talked about it, right, Sancho? Every time these guys are at Believer Beach, they're just so scary. Who would contest them? That was kind of like, you know, your tone when you saw One Loss go down. They know that no one's walking in to Believer Beach. They can just go back home there now. They're kind of on their like little timeshare at Coral Castle now, just seeing what they can get.
Now we're taking a look at the second place team coming into this match. Link, Fury, Irezumi coming in, looking really well. I don't think they're contested this time around. You know, that's what quite interesting. Lazy Lake is always one of those places. There's always 2 or 3 trios landing there as Clement picks up elimination on Zeku. But so far, it looks like Fury and Irez, they were able to do the job. They were able to tell them, hey, do not land here next time.
Absolutely, and Irezumi was the star of game number 1. We saw so many low ground elims there, and every single box just had one final member of each trio left. He was the one to land all the shots, and man, they landed so well.
Yeah, this is one of those, kind of like a Russian version of the French shuffle. Irez, Kiriachi, Siberia, all these kind of guys they played together before in the previous past. They all know exactly what they're gonna get into, but just to see them find success as a trio is gonna be interesting to see if the Russians can be able to get that job done. Ooh. A lot of people clapping back with bullets here. Responding back with bullets and let them know Fury's like, hey, I got a hand cannon, man. You're gonna peek again. I might be able to get a nice headshot. Here it is, zone 1, Shio, and who's gonna be able to find that home field advantage, so to speak, for this zone?
I mean, I just feel like from what I saw from Tayson, this has to be a complete advantage. Look at what they've done to Nikov's tree all the way towards the top. It made them retreat towards the shark. 3 people sharing a relic of a POI and probably not going to find anything. And then when they go back to Coral now, Tayson's basically taking everything away. And now they finally get the loot. Believer Beach, you can see him finally get back to the pier on the top right. The ferry trip is over. But man, what an effect one individual can have with a knock early game.
The ripple effect is what you're looking for. As we're seeing Sky picking up an elimination on Kezix. I mean, Kezix is one of those people that as well, moving, trying to find a home. This is what happens when it comes to trio plays. After this point right here, Shio, I don't think teams are going to switch. I mean, the series points is going to be a factor. Every time you switch this span, you all reset.
That's what we'd like to think, but everyone gets emotional. And then week 3 comes around, the night before, crazy things end up happening, and you're with a new trio with big stakes on the line. You have to get top 3. We see maybe 1 or 2 teams of, high tier end up maybe doing that per season. But you're right, Sancho. This has to be a very good display today for a lot of these new trios together. This also has to be the week I feel like Kiriachi qualifies, all right? Or at least does something great, because not having to fight off spawn every single game, although Slurpee was slightly affected, I mean, it's a huge buff for these guys.
Now you're seeing Sky, Leo, and Etsy here in the crosshairs of Kiriachi's trio, who are now looking to get a third-party elimination, as Etsy was colliding with the trio from Kezix coming from Holly Hatchery. So you're seeing a lot of mobility and flexibility with these trios landing on this side of the map here. Now Kiriachi and Stormy Ryan Tuesday, they were just, hey, we're just trying to see, hey, man, we're here. Maybe we can get elimination. All right, we got a tag. All right, I'm out.
Hey, friendly,
let's
friendly.
go ahead. Yeah,
allow it. Let us drive. Let us drive.
Let us drive on through. Kirby gets a knock on Bevzy, but this is what their plan is for Curiosity's trio. We saw that last season. They kind of go into logjam, look for third-party opportunities. They get gifted a supply box that no one's going to be able to stop them from grabbing as they're checking the bushes. And now we go to another trio here that, this season they've been doing well, but the question is, can they get into the finals? And that it's Deceptos, Floki, and Clement.
I mean, this is a classic trio that's just been playing so well once mid-game rolls around. The early game sometimes, depending on who they're contested by in previous seasons, was difficult. Now landing all the way over at Camp Cod, it's a very different game with very different stakes in the early game. It's all just about timing and then surge tags. You don't really have to worry about anyone really contesting you. Question is, though, are they going to be fast enough off the drop? Will they move across this map, get over towards the northwest side? It's a very difficult rotation for people landing at the very bottom of the map.
Last qualifiers, Clement's trio, there were like 50-50 in land drops right there against Milwaukee. It was very messy, and that's why they finished in 21st place. So that's why they're making the adjustment. Understanding as well that Analyx's trio was making its appearance. No, Malibuka making his rotation outside his teammates. So this fight has dragged on. That is Nate's trio as well. So last time Nate's trio got wiped up quickly. Now this is going to be one of those stretched out engagement style that we're going to be fighting, trading bullets left and right as they're going to be building, moving together. But Malibu, well, I thought that was a sniper shot. It was just a little tag there of an AR bullet.
I'm liking the themes between these two trios as well, who just had an engagement with each other. I feel like Malibuka, the way these guys play the game, their style, it kind of reminds me of an armadillo. Their defense is just so good, Sancho. Every time they're in trouble, a big base up, right? They get the shell on, and then there's not much many teams can do to kind of penetrate their boxes. At the same time, for Nate, you have Robabs in the business and now Snazy. They're like the tigers of all their separate, previous trios, respectively. They have one of the most aggressive trios fighting, one of the most defensive in the server, kind of like an unstoppable force, immovable object. They clash and then just separate. Nothing happens there. I'm excited to see if they run into each other again, but Robabs, Nate, and Snazy, they have some trouble here with Senna, Rayed, and Roban. They've been controlling Corny Complex. They've dipped into Dirty Docks as well a little bit, right behind Thomas's trio last game. They're really working these high vantage points and looking for tags. No one actually hits one onto Snazy. He gets by unscathed, but look how separated they are, Sancho. These guys are also very good individualistic players from the previous trios. Now working together in a new team, it might be kind of hairy in the way they rotate together. It might not be as glued, you know, together completely.
This trio last time was kind of being contested by High Chris's trio, which was my prediction last qualifiers, and they're not here this qualifiers, and that's why I went for the tried and true Thomas HD pick. See how that goes. But yes, Senna's out there in the Corny Complex making a second appearance here in the qualifier stage to see if they can have a better result, considering that you know, not only they were being contested by High Chris's trio, but they were also part of the third-party plans of Wolfie's trio. So Wolfie's and Milan and you know, they were, and Marine, they were all making that rotation through Corny Complex last qualifiers.
Many changes from qual to qual, many changes also from season to season. One thing always stays the same, and that's having, you know, all these guys outside the zone in very, very peculiar situations that are troublesome to get out of.
I'm just looking. Oh, that was so close. Remember, Anas and Flick and Thomas HD had a very difficult rotation into zone 4, and that rotation cost them the run. Anas and Flick went down, and no doubt Thomas HD fell shortly after. But these are the kinds of things that happen when it comes to FNCS. It's all about making sure you have clean rotations. And even though, you know, sometimes zone pulls far away from you, you can have options. We already saw 3 trios on that same rotation have those different options, and they were able to get in, but no options for Flick here. He takes the fight inside the house and gets a knock. And now this is going to be a scrum between the two. Thomas AC getting hit in the backside. Flick and Nas is still under very great strength. And Nas getting elimination on Shizo. And Thomas HD is here. And this is what's so important here. They cannot go down because the slide, you know, they're known to have a slow start, but this could be that kind of that quick start that they're looking for here in game 2. So now it's a 2v3. Mustache going on the outside, looking for a way in. Flick and Mustache are shooting at each other. Flick is going to have to go back into the heels here and heal up. Anas and Thomas AC, and Mustache gets taken out by the combo team of Anas and Thomas HD. And that's going to only leave Malabuka, who's been eliminated as well. Quick wipe of the team, but here's the third party. You see it on the bottom right of the screen in the minimap, child. 3 teams are coming in. It's a 3P. It's 7 towards trio, and Siberia and Force, the FNCS Asian champion, are here to see if they can clean up some of that mess.
This is a big push because the zone's going to be moving very, very soon. They are baffled as well. Peacock can't really catch a break. I mean, this is 3 different trios, it looks like, next to each other. Stilu finally down. And now Nikov will be on these walls, and Air Baffle might mistake them for, you know, another weak trio rolling in, but they'll be surprised once they start knocking on these walls. It actually looks like it'll be shady and passive on the backside on the defense for this fight to start, but it might be one that just takes a bit too long to get going. Too many old builds here from Stilu's trio who just got wiped out. It's going to be a while until these guys finally land shots.
And we know Juan Las's trio is not looking at 100%. Tayson kind of threw a big wrench in their early looting path, sent them all the way to the shark, or the shambles of the shark. This is going to be an easy win for Passive, and they just understand what's on they're fighting up against.
Absolutely, but they might get a little bit too desperate for this because they have the lack of loot, Sancho, right? And might make a super aggressive play that Arabab was not expecting. Put aside, though, he's going to knock a little bit off of his shield, just has 10 remaining as he goes away to fuel back up. Passive Shady Baffo on cruise control right now, though. They're going to be looking very good this entire fight, and then finally look to just move out because zone's coming. But man, Sancho, this pit stop, it lasted way too long. Everyone's in front of them now, and this is going to be a very, very difficult rotation.
Passive went with the inflatable rotate, gets sent out of that state, and now this is not looking good as Baffo gets taken out by Podesai on the backside. You talked about a desperate team, and Podesai wants to sneak up a Passive. Hello, you left the barn door open there, you cow. He gets hit from the backside, he gets 56 HP. He's in trouble.
Oh man, gonna be a 2v3-2, but Storm's ticking might be an extra member for Passive sided to use that pressure properly. Not going to be possible, though. Has to base up, has no white med, so this is going to be a timer of 15 seconds. Now 14 on the side of Passive. He's trying to go for it. It's not possible, though. He's going to get ticked out.
There is 3 trios waiting for this to wrap up. So this trio right now is just trying to get as much elimination points as possible here. It can be a matter of moments. Passive gets knocked. Shady's in trouble here. Yeah, man, this is one of those engagements that at the end of the day, you just had the bill. They gave you the bill, and you're like, I don't got any cash for this, man. I'm gonna have to wash some dishes. And there it is. The dishes have been washed.
Are they going to keep washing them inside the lobby before the next game starts too? But we'll see Stena actually having, I guess, the smartest rotation of all time here, right? They were the first ones to start eating zone, basically. They let Nate's trio pass by slightly as well, and then they followed with the pressure everyone else was building to get towards the safe circle. At the same time, they're still kind of eating Storm, but they're doing it to get a little bit towards the north side of this map. You can see it's the dead side of the circle for the moment right now, but Robabs, Nate, and Snazy, they don't let things go, man. You know, you shoot at them once. They're gonna make sure that you lose a lot of builds and HP trying to get back into the game.
You know what's scarier than an earthling Tayson, an extraterrestrial Tayson, and that's where he is right now. He is in the alien zone. This man is not gonna have to deal with gravity. I know Superman just showed up to the island. That man defines gravity as well. Can Tayson, the Superman, be, of the EU region, be able to fly his way into the sun today? I think so, but man, there's just nothing scarier than see Tayson sitting up there on that anti-gravity zone.
Move any which way.
Any which way, bro.
Any angle for the shot.
Any angle. Oh my.
So this is scary to look at too, just Steady can't be Teak alive playing around 4. That's trouble for any low ground team.
That's true. I agree. I mean, I feel like Teak's trio has been getting much more aggressive lately. You've been looking at their stats. You've been looking at their history when it comes to games this season particularly. You've been seeing them get more eliminations. Historically, what they do in the previous seasons is they get the placement points, but they get 4, 5, 6 eliminations, and that's not enough. This trio definitely has to step it up. We saw them last time. They come so close. Twice in the reboot round, they almost got it. It was
3
so
times,
heartbreaking.
bro. It was
yeah.
Lemon was talking about it, right? Like it was the closest margin ever because they were averaging like 2nd place in reboot, or top 3 in reboot. Like that is heartbreaking, but also shows you the prowess of this team when they're put to the ultimate test, right? So today I feel like shouldn't be an issue for them, but at the same time, if you're a consistent trio, right, Sancho, and you lose out on one game, just one top 5, one top 10, that could throw your whole competition outside the top 3.
And that's what I was concerned about. We didn't see them last qualifiers here in this season, but as well as, hey, they were there in the heats too, and they just fell out. So they know it. Hey, the pressure could be on, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. What's their mental like when it's going to have to be a clutch or don't qual situation? Flick picking up an elimination on Murstache here. You have Sapphics trio now pushing their way through. Now you see Camisay Teak. You see Sky's trio, you see Reason Vino and Tayson. Look at this, dude. Not only that they've claimed Believers Beach, they pushed all the way a team to Coral, but they claimed Holly Hatchery. It's all there to themselves as well.
4 down, 1 to go on the north side of the map in terms of POIs for these guys to claim. And then who knows, they might just snap the server in half.
Who knows, man? They might be rounding their way, collecting 200 V-Bucks. Who knows?
Ooh, chaos here still. Feels like all these teams who have touched the Storm this lobby can't get it off their backs. I might not be dealing HP damage to their health directly, Sancho, but their mental, their boxes, their mat counts, the pressure, it's still on. Their brains, basically, their headspace is still purple.
I'm just surprised. I'm looking at the mini map and there's only Tayson's trio on that top left. They've literally created their own dead side and pushed every trio to rotate onto the other dead side and create this massive traffic jam that you're watching on the bottom right. That is just the prowess, and that is just how amazing trio Tayson, Vino, and Reason are.
It's just game number 2 as well, right? Like, you would expect like all this conditioning might take a few games in that lobby. This is the first time the lobby of these players is playing together. It's only 10 trios that have played in last week's Qual 1. This is a fresh feeling for everyone, but they kind of know who the kings are for the moment. 4ZR though, out of shield. They're not gonna have any extra either. This is looking bad for those guys. They're gonna need a refresh soon, but kind of once again right beside them, these guys have been hand holding together, but also slapping each other's wrists over and over, and now it's finally taking its toll.
Yeah, Nate Trio has been making that rotation in Steamy Stack, dealing with Malibuka, dealing with the rest of the lobby on the way through. So you know they're gassed right now on their last available resources.
You're asking earlier as well, Sancho, you know, Cammy said Teak, how did these guys actually end up doing well and staying consistent week to week? Wow, Mappy broken down, but I think he's gonna be able to just build back up. Yeah, it's fine. I feel like every time there's a big trio to mirror, these guys get so much stronger on low ground. We saw that sandwich effect last game as we see Link go down right now. You know, right beforehand, this is second place, by the way, too. We're watching on screen get taken out on Link Fury's side, so it's up for grabs as well. That's huge for Seti, Cammy, Teak, we were just watching before. But these guys, every time there's a high ground team kind of working for them to push everyone down, you know, onto their layers, they end up playing so much better and get so many more elims. Those two kind of essences of high ground, whether that's Tayson in this server and then low ground, that being Seti, Cammy, Teak, they can just squish the server and then stay alive separately to just, you know, have that final showdown, the final 3v3.
Thomas HT's trio is still up in this fight. We're getting close to the matter of moments to the end game of game 2. Now we're on board here with Sapphics trio with 4 eliminations here. They're in the safe, and remember, Tayson's trio was way on the outside, so we got to see how they made their way in. They did have parasites on this head here, but Andalix right now, alongside with 4ZR, are in a world of hurt, already losing at Squeeze earlier. Only 2 eliminations here. It's going to be a pair of not great games for this decorated trio who are formed at the last minute here. So many changes in the French region, but so far, all 4 of those teams basically who made their changes are now here, but they haven't found the results that they've been looking for, and they're still struggling to be able to get into the top 10.
We'll see if Overlords of Fortnite can bless them with a zone, and they're gonna have to move slightly back the complete other way. So far, we've been watching X-Squeeze go down. If you listen to the soundtrack of the lobby as well, it's just been AR after AR shot over and over again. Shotguns fired, no quiet time whatsoever. Everyone's being strained. They got a full trio wipe, Sancho, and there's only not enough shields for Analyx to get all the way back up on HP. The main vocalist for this track, though, will be Vino, Tayson, and Reason again. It's like kind of we're watching their 6-song album here in Qual Week number 2. They're going to control, have the lead as things go, but let's make that bass drop. Let's get moving. 6th zone is here, and it's upon us.
And what a strong base right here on the low ground is Thomas, AC, and Nas and Flick. This is going to be their game right now. This is what they do best. They sit very well to mid to low ground. They get a lot of eliminations. They got a full box tarp, and a Nas is already leading the way with Thomas, AC, and Flick already looking for some beans. But look up high. It's Tayson, Reason, and Vino. We'll keep an eye on that because Red Ross and Exteriors are gliding on through. Another dangerous trio on the low ground. It is 2 Stormy Right and Kirachi, who've already had a great start to their day, coming into 4th place, but Vino gets knocked. Vino gets knocked. Let's see how that rolls out in the feed as Flick picks up elimination on Chacos.
Kiriachi drops the trio right beside him. They're fighting a Nos for this low ground, so any elims they can get right now is huge for the refresh. They get 1 knock. Rayed now, you can't hide. There's no storm to dive into and go around from. You have to deal with your problems head on, and that problem is Kiriachi. It's a big one. He's going to affect that trio, split them into 2/3, and now they'll move forward knowing there's a weak tarp right above them. They can keep bullying. They skip it though, Sancho. They go towards the left side. They're trying to fly towards the front side of the zone. It's Skite, Leo, and Esti who grab height off of Vino, Tayson, and Reason.
Yeah, that big knock on Vino and that elimination just gave the front door open. But Tayson right now, have you seen this before, Shio? Them being at Holly Hatchery, pushing everybody outside of their quadrant, and they're 17 below the Storm Surge. And now Tayson's going to make his way through, armed with the Parasite power. It's going to give him some mobility and as well as some power to jump up. Does he get this elimination? He needs it so badly as he's just teetering right now. 2 people have to go down. Reason trying to find the tags to get them just above the Surge. 44 above. We thought they were doing so well, but look, Flick, Thomas HD taking out Cammy, Teak. Thomas HD trio is now cooking.
Korok finally goes down, so these guys have room to breathe, but at the same time, that Parasite's taken away 25 of Tayson's HP. He can't get it back right now. He has to go for Siphon somewhere, map beyond his walls. He goes for the big beams and lands a few, but then blocked off by Reason to stay safe. He'll be able to pop back up. Now he has nothing left, though. No time to kind of take those minis now. Have to take them for the road. Skite, Leo, and Esti, they're still looking mighty high and dry. They're going to be fine beaming down on the rest of the server. And yes, Sancho. Flick has taken out Seti Kemi Teak, but they're going to have to keep pushing forward over and over. They got the Loot Boys now on the back walls, and they're in between 5 different trios. Flick's in a box. He's trapped. Finally gets out the right side. Thomas takes out Red Rush. Tayson gets an Elam as well, but this trio heavily affected as the Nas is left by himself.
Now Thomas HD is all by himself on the mid ground as the Storm is pulling back through the builds. 9 eliminations. Can Thomas HD be able to rack up a little bit more in placements? Are we getting closer and closer to the top 5? You see Pudrick getting a knock on Kira. You see Lysen getting an elimination on a Nos right there, getting confirmed. So can Thomas HD blaze through these builds, work his way through? No time to get the med kit. He's trying to get a little bit of moment to breathe as the Storm is breathing down his neck. He's trying, here it is. I think he's able to pop it off, so that's going to give him some very valuable HP going into the last engagement that we have here. Etsy's trio from the last place going into this match does have a high ground position.
There's still 12 people though. Real estate's so expensive. Thomas HD still finds a way to find a home here, but he
Thomas eliminated.
Trick takes them out. Lysen and Mappy eviscerated in an instant. Trixie and Toos will find that combination elimination, and now it'll be to see exactly which one of these 4 trios end up on top. SD has the biggest chance. They're beaming all the way top down. Toos finds a way to dodge the line of sight. There's headlights right now that everyone's trying to hide from on high ground.
Ooh.
And boom! Skype gets fished all the way down. Toos picks it up, the 7th element for the squad. Stites down, now a different trio in the front box. Deuce is trying to find a way to get the triangle edit, but it's not going to be possible. He backs up slightly. 1 HP on Stormy right, but they have that big slurp cannon to kind of recover. SD, Sidewinder pump shot, it doesn't hit. Stormy right's finally down. Deuce gets deleted, and it's Leo's team at the end of the day to walk away with the victory royale.
Etsy, Leo, and Skype getting some great eliminations, 7 total, and the victory royale. They're going to walk away as game 2 winners. But Shayo, we've seen some of the greatest on the low ground and the high ground, but it's unbelievable to see that Tayson was below Surge into that. That is something that we're going to keep an eye on. We've seen Tayson having some problems with Surge last season, but hey, we cannot take away some team coming from the 32nd place into that matchup. Sky, Etsy, and Leo getting that victory royale. They're going to move up their leaderboard, no doubt.
That capitalized on that knock from Vino. Maybe Tayson was a bit too scary, Sancho, and moved everyone away. You can't do that because you need those tags. I want to see what the desk has to say about that big turn of events and only just game 2.
Well, Shy Wager shakeups will happen. This is the rule of Fortnite. It is law. It is written in stone from when time began. You know, Reese, I love that these guys point out that Tayson was below Storm Surge. I don't know that I've ever seen Tayson in a situation like that in Endgame.
You know, being below, that's the thing, like they're usually below Storm Surge when it comes to that kind of early to mid games, those kind of earlier thresholds when it comes to Storm Surge. But into moving, they're usually ones who do manage to get a lot more of their damage throughout the zone. So it is interesting to see them down below. We'll see if they kind of change that up next time, because they did manage to get a lot of their tags in the previous game. Earlier before that, claim high ground and just pressure down below. This time they claimed high ground, but weren't able to capitalize on that and get those tags out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't overreact. I think, you know, like Shia sort of alluded to, we've seen teams struggle with Storm Surge out of Believers Beach, what was previously Sweaty Sands before. It's part of the reason why, there were some people in the community having debates about whether it'd be best for them to be contested, because they fight off spawn so well from there, and then you deal with the Storm Surge tags there. What's actually interesting about that game, the team that actually wins it, right, is one of the newer French teams that has formed. Sancho said it, first game, dead last, bottom of the table, but this game they get the Vic Roy, and so it's good to see that maybe there's some momentum building for these guys moving forward.
I love that as well. It was just all about that positioning, right? And Reese, this is something you want to talk about coming out of game number 2, so let's throw your way.
Absolutely. And like looking at the positioning we have of the teams here shows and paints a beautiful picture. The teams that you see moving right here in this zone on that kind of east or west dead side is Skype, Falcon Lee's team. So they managed to pick up the win and get straight to the center of third. Up here, if you're going to guess which team it's going to be, who do we think it's going to be? Vino, Reason, and Tayson, right? They set themselves up on height in the 5th zone by doing exactly the same thing, right? They stayed on that west side, the dead side, took over Holly Hatchery area, and then ended up just kind of trying to get as many tags next one there is possible, but because that east side became so congested, they didn't have good sight lines, unfortunately. So the teams who popped off this game were set up in those positions in that second and third zones.
And like, look who's sitting in first place. Kiri actually stormed me right into this. We talked about how last week, well, not last week now, it's been 2 weeks now, man.
2 weeks, yeah.
So, you know, it was a shocking week. It was a shocking week for them. They got absolutely beasted off spawn by Mitra himself. And so to come back this week, now be sitting in first place after game 2 is not too bad. Tenzin, Jaggy, and Trixie, who... I'm actually, are they still being contested at Caddy Corner? Because, you know, to be fair, I wouldn't have expected them to be in second place at this stage. Nevertheless, they are sitting there. Vino, Tayson, and Reason, even after a game that would have been a bit disappointing by their standards, are sitting in third as well. So that's the top 3 at the moment. A bit of a gap between the top 3 and 4th, but still with so many games left to play, it's all up for grabs.
Yeah, and on Tenzin's team, game 1, they were not uncontested. So sorry, they were uncontested game 1. Too many double negatives there. And in game number 2, they actually managed to win off spawn extremely quickly. Zico was able to actually get out and kind of disengage, but unfortunately was picked up later as well. So they managed to be uncontested in game 1 and then win it in game number 2. So really good. But moving on to the next page as well, we're going to see those players now after a game number 2 who are in that 11th to 20th who need to start popping off. You know, we talked a lot at the top of the show about Seventor, Siberian Force being the Asia FNCS champion. Not looking so good so far, being 19th in that bottom half so far after 2 games isn't a good start.
Yeah, and I think it's only right to, you know, pay attention to Floki, Clement, and Deceptus in the 13th, right? This is a team who, in last season during the qualifiers, they were a team that auto-qualified, and a team who almost, you know, qualified in a prior week as well, right? They showed that they were a really top team. And they're actually one of the few French-speaking teams that hasn't actually shuffled, right? One of the few top French-speaking teams, I should say. So, you know, you'd expect these guys to maybe pick up a bit of form once again, though. Game 2,
one of the...
you know, we'll see how things go.
I was just going to say, one of the things is these teams have no ego. They just moved their drop spot after being super contested, and we saw them do that in the previous seasons as well. So big up to them.
That's right, guys. And remember, we talk about game 1, kind of the introductory game. Game 2's sort of like that, but now it's game 3 time. We need to kick it into high gear if we want to place in those top 3 to auto-qual going into finals. But you know what time it is? That's right. It's Battle Blitz time. So we're jumping back on board with Shy Wager and Sancho West. Boys, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Levin, and Reese. Yeah, you know, it's definitely a little bit about that consistency. We'll see exactly if people drop those egos or pick them up, Sancho, because the storm fights in that last game, I mean, they were insane.
Very much so. Everybody trying to just get those valuable elimination points as much as possible. But I think you said it right there, the ego. And right now, the ego of Tayson, Vino, and Reason got a little bit of check right there, considering that they scared too many people away from their quadrant. And they realized that. And they had Storm Surge issue going into the end game. But here we are, game 3. It's about the midway point, and we're going to be able to see who's going to be able to put it all together to get into the top 3.
You were talking about lots of things happening last game in terms of, you know, Thomas HD and Austin Flick. Are these guys going to be able to level up? What is their kind of win condition? As we see Nate go down to Malibuca, the Be Genius boys be able to, you know, or Be Genius, depending on where you're coming from with the, you know, the prefix of the org. Shout out Zeke was prime for that glorious, you know, way to pronounce it. I can never forget. But these guys are just going head to head. You know, Hydra going down testing again to Mappy. Nate already getting eliminated too. Jules picking up elims. This game starting out so much faster than before, Sancho, but you notice only one trio has gone down. A lot of these fights are going back and forth.
Yeah, Bony Burbs are going at it, but the Steamy Stacks. But the kind of boys on the desk kind of talked about it a little bit. Caddy corner, and looks like Vino is going to get himself a nice llama right there. Of course, the moving llamas, and Vino was able to corral that llama on top of the roof. But look at that, Malibu getting Robabs there. So look, this is what's happening right here. I'm quite surprised that Ziku and then with Sun and Jules are having issues with Jackie's trio. I mean, Jules, what we felt like, remember like we were yesterday, the qualifier one, we're like, where's Jules? I mean, they're up and coming. We became a fan of them over the previous season, considering that they pushed out Analyx outside of Caddy Corner. We're like, yo, this might be a trio to keep an eye on. They didn't show up last qualifiers, and here they are struggling here in qualifier 2.
Definitely having a few issues. Snazy though gets to be able to clap back on a Moustache, so I think it's a 1v2 wherever he is fighting right now. We see the previous second place Warriors fall down the ranks a little bit, now down to 8th place. Lazy Lake still uncontested. That is a huge pedestal to jump off of to have nice games. And yeah, there's a knock on a Moustache. Still nothing happening there though. I think one of the most impressive things to look at too, Sancho, is, you know, we saw this from Hengenis Chapix last season. the FNCS finals, contested over and over again in a POI that's kind of, you know, hard to fight at. You'll either have control of it or be on the full defensive. Riot, they're doing kind of the same thing over at Corny Complex. They're finishing fights very quickly. The third game, they've won again. That's huge. And now we're going to jump straight to it. You'll see them against Bad Sniper, Cammy in the distance. We'll talk about him in a second, but these guys are up against the same trio once more, barely even affected on shield, disrespecting the nuance of box fights by just spraying all the way in, maximum confidence. It's all down to just Bad Sniper now. It looks like to kind of clean things up completely. It looks like a third-party situation though for these guys. They're gonna have to just bunker down in the base.
Yeah, Bad Snipers trio, they were coming from previously in Weeping Woods, and now they're trying their try here at Corny Complex. And Stena, who's we're lighting here, the last qualifiers here is showing that they're not going to be an easy pushover this time around. Ori going to go ahead and see if they could get any kind of tags here, but Bad Sniper is in a bad position for this moment here as the three are closing in. And what is this? Not only that that's a second llama here. So what does this mean, Child? They're going to have the ability to have mobility. They might get a chug cannon as well. So much great value. Of course, you talked about the mats and the resources and that, but it's the chug cannon and the launch pads are going to be something that they're, yes, there it is. That means they're going to have so much mobility, add flexibility as well, and in-game Eating Storm as well. They're going to have their win condition just in case it goes to heal off. I mean, what do I have to do to be as lucky as Hasten? Do I have to grind as much?
So you have to just be a part of the script. That's all it is. As we
Fair
see
enough.
this horrific side of 3 sniper rifles in that Sun's knock body. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. But you know, in game 2, the script West Hasten keeps popping off. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So the script writer's like, okay, let's give him 2 llamas. You know, there's no way they're not going to be able to win with 2 llamas now. We'll be right back on track. What is it? You have the same pamphlet as me, right? Page 4? We should be on page 4 of the script. Yeah, very nice. So they'll be good. That's going to be scary. 2 chug splash cannons. As long as Vito doesn't get knocked all the way on height, we should be good to go for this game. But I was talking about Thomas earlier on, and we were last game as well. I feel like for these guys, they're like a final game or final 3-game trio. You're talking about how slow they ramp up, right? That's not just in game and the way they play from early to end. I feel like the first 3 games, they're gonna feel out competition, and then the last 3, you see like consistent top 4s over and over again.
Yeah, you know, usually they play a little passive. They're trying to get their Storm Sword attack from a distance, and then they ramp it up a little bit as we're seeing the ramp up in the action here in game 3. Kind of stick up here. Stena still in Corny Complex trying to fight outside of that hold against Bad Sniper down into the basement. Now fighting up for air here, and you have quite a sticky situation developing. I'm taking a look. There is a trio that's sitting at Cynic Point that could send beams that way, and that trio is Miles, and Bevies, who early went there, so they would have an advantage. But let's see what's going to go down here. Is Steelu's trio, and look, the pursuit is on. Then the car tipped over. We always see Cal's getting tipped over, but the car tipped over here. But Stenemea took a bigger bite than he wanted to. Down to 110 HP, going up against a duo. Now Rev is going to be up. Man, these insta bulls just create so much zaniness that's happening right here in Corny Complex.
Hey, so what would win? An industrial vehicle that's been built in a factory with wheels and mechanical parts, or one little balloony cowboy? We'll see right now. Estena's on his last feet, last udders, last legs. Ori now kind of got him out of the base. There's no way to go back, and Roban's half HP on the revive timer as well. Steel will actually get the cheeky knock finish onto Roban, and now it's all up to Stena. Tac shotgun, 14 bullets. You'll have to land every single one and take no damage. It'll be trouble, and the cow can't save you now, my friend.
We're watching right now. Can the cow jump over the moon? They're plating the dishes. Dinner is done. Time to eat. The milk's gone sour. So many other things we could throw out there, but Steelu's trio was able to close that out. Ori, it looks like Dr. Sloan's not going to have any piece of that. She wants a piece of this action. What's going on? It's so complex. It's Corny Complex. What can I say?
Well, I was watching a 3-minute long meme, and it's just getting crazy and crazier. Thomas HD trying his classic snipe shot. Ori's like, listen, man, I'm dealing with enough pain right now. I don't need this.
Dr. Sloan's going in. She's not only that, she's multiplied. Oh my goodness, that was just a classic hootenanny of an action right there. That's what we call it down there in Texas. But going to all the way across the map here in a different kind of situation, a lot calmer, I would say. It is Kirachi here. And Kirachi, you know, they're sitting right now in the #1 spot. it's up to them to hold on and not to slide down. And we've seen them be able to hold on to this spot before last season, able to qualify in the top 3.
That's the adjustment they're making with Slurpee down. They get to make not only a quicker rotate because there's less loot toward this gas station, but they're able to just control more space of the map entirely. One of the biggest things for Slurpee Swamp is just getting locked down too long over their looting. You know, just trying to greed as many chug shields as well as possible so you don't have to use your own minis, but it takes so much time. You run out of position. You don't get to be able to get too many surge tags as well, but it looks like Kiriachi's on top of things this time, Sancho, and they get a favorable zone as well. It's kind of the same that we saw as last time. It's kind of good for everyone on the map.
The only thing I have a big question mark is what is Tayson's Trios going to do? Last time they had her gifted the zone, the home field advantage, it didn't go their way. And you know what ended up happening is the Storm Surge fans started to boo them essentially, and all of a sudden their game got upended here. So we're keeping an eye on that as you see Podesai and Wanless here, who were victims to an earlier push from Tayson, getting a couple of knocks and eliminations in the feet.
Arabafo still hired for the halftime show, it looks like, every single game. Once we get towards, you know, zone 1 closing the zone 2, they're doing something crazy in the middle of the map. Big box fight this time. They won't be able to win it. You're right. Yeah, for Tayson, I think they just need to find friends, man. They need to go somewhere and just you know, box up next to someone like they did that first game. It was up against Versa, and just punish them while they move. You know, have a very weird relationship with one of these boxes somewhere.
My relationship, of course, with Thomas HD's trio is hoping that they're able to get into the top 3. That are my prediction. And as I watch with a bated breath, we switch over to Pleasant Park here on the northeast side. And is Miles, who was out there and seeing point here, is making the rotation, getting stopped by Peach's trio. You talked about the nuances of box fighting, but sometimes a good old-fashioned SMG spray will be enough just to get you in, and that's what Waffler's trying to do. Unable to grab the wall as he wanted to, he's going to go ahead and retreat and hopefully find a different angle. And these are the kind of engagements, Shia, when you have 2 trios lined up basically on the same angle, like on the same 2 lines. It just becomes a matter of like, can you get a grid further? Can you get around them to create a pinch? And right now, Peach's trio, no one has this advantage, so it's a stalemate.
That's just a hard no. They have to wait. Nope. Nope.
Exactly.
And false advertising too, in terms of this POI's name, Pleasant Park. Always realize we tune in, Sancho, it's never pleasant. There should be like tape you can remove from the first word. It says punishing park, or like pleasant punishment. I don't know. There's got to be a rebrand.
I agree. It goes all the way back to chapter 1. It was always the hot drop in chapter 1. Everyone landed in Pleasant Park, no matter what. It was one of those places you knew you needed to get eliminations. You go to Pleasant Park as your starting point.
Yeah. There's always trouble every time, all the way up to the second zone, almost closing at the park. Toos, though, he is just jumping. No builds, don't care. Thomas HD finally lands his 5th sniper shot inside that bush, all the way onto Fury. I mean, these guys are looking so good. Second place the game before, and now they're just dropping down the ranks. Thomas shouldn't even be close by right now. It had to have been a sniper shot. No, they actually closed all the way in. Thomas HD low on HP. He's gonna be all the way down to 1, but not knocked. He can still move his legs. Meanwhile, though, Fury, he's kind of stuck in quicksand. I'm not sure where Thomas's teammates are for the moment. He might have just overreached on this one. It's gonna be a little bit of trouble.
Link's trio is right now in shambles, as Link is the only one left, but there's multiple trios invested into this scrum right now, looking for any kind of cheeky bullet to steal an elimination, as well get valuable Storm Surge tag. Flick gets an elimination, Irez Umi here. So Flick is still on his feet. Flick is one of the most very prolific, fraggers of that trio as well. Just the ability to rack up as many, points as well as a placement. So Flick is going to be very valuable if he can stay on his feet here. Let's take a look at Anas, Thomas HD. Anas finally picks up Thomas HD, so they're looking good. And look at that. Bobby's trio is going to cause a distraction, and no doubt Thomas HD is going to have to disengage from this, but I don't know if it's looking good, Shia. You have another trio rotating in. You still have the Bony Bird trio down on the south side, and Link, all you got to do is just get out. You're 817 above. Just get out as much as possible. Of course, back in the chapter 1 days, people would just use a pad out, but that ain't gonna happen here in chapter 2. No way.
Too valuable to use this early, but they might be forced to. This white line zone fight, I mean, it might seem smart for now, but there's so many different trios looking their way in. Link lands a crazy snipe, but can't turn it into a knock at all. That might just turn the tides, though, for the fight. Gives these guys a little bit of room to breathe. Just look though, 1, 2, 3, 4 trios on your screen, and I think 3 more off of it looking as audience members to this crazy play. I don't know who the main characters are. I don't know what the story is, but it's just too much to handle.
Yeah, we call that in the theater business the peanut gallery out there, making a noise, causing a ruckus, disrupting the show that's happening here with Anas and Thomas and Flick in this battle with iRaz's trio, now let down to a duo. And look at this, the rotations is on right here. Zone 3 is going to make all these people here kind of fight as they're going to move along. And you might be right. Is it time to dip into the launch pad here just to get away as Vino picks up elimination on both and Splash gets a knock on Etsy? But we're still focused here on Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD, who are coming into this match in 9th place. And remember, chat, it's top 3, and I'm saying chat because I'm talking to you out there watching the show.
Absolutely. These guys, I mean, this is going to be the game to basically start to level up completely. Mistakes still might happen. They finally get a refresh close by. Just had one before, but that is huge to get the mats all the way topped up. Look at Bobby. He's going to take it personal, though. Gonna try to retake those walls. He has the room to play a little bit. Just look, though, Sancho still knocks at every single different boxes, bodies and situations. Down below on the bottom left, there's a teammate trying to get revived. This is now a multi-layered fight, top down instead of just horizontally. Thomas and Flick have made it onto a bridge. These guys got to get out. The zone is now super far away. They're no longer on the white line.
I think Thomas Ishii, they're here in the matter of business right now. We're going to another scrum on the other side of the zone, and it is Reason, Vino, and Tayson. And Tayson has been eliminated. So it's up to Vino and Reason. And we talked about the dangers here. Who knows who brought the fight to who, considering that Storm Surge was a factor in the previous round for Tayson. But this is not going to be quite interesting here. I mean, they're in 3rd place right now, and when 4th place is 10 points behind, and that is 4th place right now, colliding with 3rd.
On a time trial as well. Vino just picked up Tayson's card. There is a trio right beside here, though. I think this is the Be Genius boys on the left. We'll have a little bit of time to be able to just get this reboot off. They could even maybe go back and get a little bit of loot if they've traded knocks. The issue is, though, they have to make it across the water, Sancho, to be able to have a good spot in this final circle.
And that reboot sound as well is going to let the rest of the trios that are nearby in those rotation know that a fresh body has entered the lobby, and they're not going to be very strong here. But hey, remember those 2 llamas, Shayo. They can help them out there considering the chuck cannons at play.
And even though the reboot sound will play, they will see exactly in the feed who was rebooted. I don't think anyone wants to mess with Tayson getting rebooted. That means, you know, these guys want to fight. They're topped up completely on mats, and they're going to be looking good. That's at least what you would think, but look at Reason's inventory. 300 metal. That's it. There's not much to find on this island either. It must be fully mined out by now as well by Zyku's team, and they're even struggling on low to stay alive right now, Sancho.
You talking about where's the finest style? It's right there. Jules' trio is going to be the thing that they have. Reason understands that. He pops some peppers in order to try to make the push. They want these eliminations, not only for the points, but those resources that you're talked about it. Here it is. Can Jules' trio and Zico and Sun be able to slow down Vino, Tayson, and Reason right now? This is the only trio that could have it, considering that Tayson just got rebooted. So they're not going to have a lot of firepower. They have to split that all between the two. And look at it. The zone, it's 75% aquatic here. Things are going to get wet and wild going into the final zone.
Gonna be troublesome, but there still is a big hurdle for Reason, Tayson, and Vino to cross. Oh, big shot 72 by Reason. How many times can they actually do that, though? Sun will be able to probably take a 50 and a mini to negate that completely. It's not only about landing these shots, Sancho, but it's about being able to follow up on them if they want to wipe out this squad. The longer this engagement goes, the worse it is for Reason, Tayson, and Vino.
Yo, great defensive hold by Jules' trio there, understanding that it is Tayson's trio down below, and they were able to hold out.
Yeah, this is big for Kiriachi as well. Placed first in Qual 2 last season, so maybe it's kind of like, you know, they take 1 week to get a problematic trio out of the way. They land 30th place. It is what it is. But then they come back week 2, and they just want to Qual this way. It's kind of like their narrative overall.
And that's why Reese picked them. That was his prediction. He was like, I know, hey, numbers don't lie. These are all creatures of habit. And Reese is out there being like the David Attenborough. Yeah, he's being like, you know, he knows. This man knows everything here. And this is where here, Karachi still riding 2. No eliminations so far in game 3, but they are sitting in first place right now, able to get 5 more placement points. And Nikov gets a knock on Woodsy.
I'm waiting a second to see this number go up. will go away before it does, but I have to assume Kiriachi has to be higher on Surge. There's no way they're 334 below. They wouldn't make this base if that was a thing. And there it is. Yes, 187. They're gonna be looking good. And man, I think this is the third time I'm seeing this from Kiriachi, Stormrat, and Toos. They keep waiting for people to tarp above them and then break them down for maybe finding one free elimination. It's 4 above them this time, Sancho. It's not a random first-time squad rolling in. These are experienced players at the hands of Kiriachi, Stormrat, and Toos.
You always got to watch out for people under the builds because they'll come up and snatch you. And what I've also been seeing as well is Andalex's trio, no matter who he's with, trying to go for hype, but automatically getting swept. Etsy and Skype right now in a world of trouble considering. Hello, open up edit, greeted with the 105, blue pump shot. Skype gets eliminated, and that look hot. I like that.
One of the hardest things to do when you're in a, position of pressure from down below is still build in front of you entirely, right? You have to be able to siphon off not only the walls properly, but when you have to look down and put the floors too, people all the way across the map end up just hitting you out over and over and over again. So that happened right there. This Aces trio, and then unfortunately they just got picked up so fast. That's huge down below.
Vino and Tayson pick up eliminations on Pizza's trio. Reason does get knocked, so that's going to slow down Tayson right there on his rotation. As we're seeing Zone 5. Oh my goodness, going deeper into Coral Castle. And now not only are you going to have to deal with the water, but you also have to deal with the natural divot of Coral Castle here. And those waterfalls claim a lot of eliminations as well. Can Tayson, Reason, and Vino be able to make their way through? They're sitting in a good position. They've rotated through. Considering they're on the outside in, they made their way through close to center.
They're trying to do the 3-man ball strat where they all have to basically stick together in the same box and roll every single wall down, roll every pyramid edit or floor just away from them and make sure they can drop anyone into their box and just spray them down in the matter of an instant. The issue is no one is faltering. Defense is just too high.
You see Lizen's trio in 4th place as well. So again, top 3 get in, and this is what's at the stake here. You have Tayson in 3rd, and you have on the top right of your screen, that is Kira's trio in 4th, and you can on the left, that is what we're dealing with, Coral Castle, and things are going to get spicy. I already said Wet and Wild. The Wild's about to get kicked up a notch.
Zone finally closes in, the south side of Coral. Basically, welcome to the water park. You're right, Sancho. Which means low ground will be that much more costly to operate and that much more dangerous. Lizen goes down in front of Tayson. Possibility for these guys to grab the match is huge. They need it. They dive in and they get him. That's a big refresh overall, but I feel like the match are kind of left behind. Tayson, though, as he tries to move, he's going to be separated from Vino. Vino going down towards the backside, but Tayson has the defense for him. These are still their builds, and Zone has actually come towards them too. At the same time, you never know who's lurking behind these walls. They'll be able to get that revive off, and if they do, it's huge, but Toos is on the hunt.
You talking about lurking behind the walls and what a monster it is. It's Toos's trio, and they're pushing on through. That's the first spot as Seti gets the confirm on Vino and Cammy and Reason, and Cammy's here as well. So 2 monsters knocking on Tayson's door as the zone you talked about it pulling south, but it's also pulling up and over the waterfall too. So that's going to be very scary for Tayson, not only dealing with it, all the people and the enemies in front of him, but I think Tayson's going to be able to sneak his way through. And Elixir's is getting knocked right now, so that's going to be an opportunity because he's gonna glide on through. And does he have another pad? It could be another double pad situation, but Tayson's greeted and eliminated quickly. Bang!
Man,
out.
I knew that goats are able to climb mountains, but it seems like they can't swim up waterfalls. Unfortunate for Tayson as he goes down. Kiriachi, though, first place trio at the moment. Gonna be losing one of their members, one of their key members too towards the end game. The clutch shooter. The final tarper as well. We'll see Stormrat be able to basically operate as a duel right now, still get everything available to them in terms of placement. I think Anas also ends up going down beside Thomas HD, so it might just be Flick available towards the end of the day to clutch for that trio.
Opportunity here for eliminations. Storming right, making his way through out of hard mats here. It's going to be an opportunity for Toos to find an elimination and get some hard mats so they keep surviving. Ingram coming all the way from the Defiant Dish, sitting on the high ground, looking great right now for an opportunity to get a victory royale. But no, the moment of greatness is so close as Vox goes down. And now there's no doubt the high ground will be contested as Stormy gets an elimination on Genesis.
Other big pick from Stormy, right? He's trying to stay dry right now. We're halfway, just teetering off. A waterfall down below. Steady finding Falconly. I'm not sure how they're doing this on low ground, but they must have flippers, you know, or arm boils or something. I'm not sure what it is, but they're staying alive. They're floating. The Siptos is finding 2 huge eliminations. Stormy, right, still moving around and finds a Chug Splash Cannon. That's huge, and finds the Siptos as well. 1 HP. A box dive. Golly, that's huge for these two. But Toos pays the ultimate price with his life. It's all up to Stormy, right?
Breaking through builds with their barrels. That is what's happening right there on the low ground. T getting knocked. Stormy, the solo all by himself. Nikov, Wanless, and Podesai, a full strength trio. Seti getting out. That was a huge one, right? Good elimination right there from Seti. So now you have Red Royce mapping Exteriors. Wanless, Podesai, Nikov. You got 2 trios and 1 solo and Seti here with the Chug Cannon doing all it can to maybe sneak and get second place here. If Seti could just sneak around. Wait, Seti's going for it. If he can get it, he's going to have an opportunity to strike. He does have height. He does have the number of builds to get chopped quickly. Asterios with a great response. And now it's a 3v3, high ground and low ground.
It was a big distraction. We saw Mappy fall all the way down because of the brief moments we saw Seti distract high ground completely. All 3 members looked to take him out fast, but it cost Mappy his life, and now it'll be a 2v3 towards the very end, dropping down into the water. We'll see Exterio stay up as Red Rush goes down first. Lots of elims on the squad in Red Rush. He slightly builds back up. Nikov, it's their position right now, Sancho. They need to put on the pressure.
I'm trying to see right here how many builds this Nikov trio has. I see them trying to expand. They're doing the double edits. They're doing the double cones and things of that sort. They're trying to stop them from taking up a hit. Asterios down a couple builds here, but look at that. He does have the Chog Cannon right now. It is Red Rush, Asterios, and it's it's Podesai. Podesai is the only last one left here. Can Podesai, what does Podesai have? He's retreats with a Chug Cannon. Estero, oh my goodness, Podesai with a quick 180, and that's a huge game. 11 eliminations in the Victory Royale, and Podesai snatches that Victory Royale away in the brief second right there from Red Rush's trio. Wow, hey, you talked about home field advantage, and that went right to Coral Castle, and that is where Wanless, Podesai, and Nikov make their home in this round.
And they've been bullied over and over again in the previous game, sometimes by Tayson, sometimes by the zone. This time they get the opportunity to defend a home, and man, Sancho, they did it brilliantly.
Yeah, the castle was strong. All the defense was strong. So, hey, let's go ahead and kick it to the desk right there of Reese, Levin, and Zeke.
Guys, thank you so much. I'm loving the narrative you guys are spinning right now. Game number 3 did not disappoint. Seti, oh my goodness, coming in clutch though for the trio, making it at 3rd spot. That's what you need, right? Like those little points and like will make the difference in the end game. But I gotta send it to Nikov, Podesai, and their trio. I love that the difference here, if one trio had eliminated the other, would have basically been like an 8-point difference for them. But for both of these trios, this is the jump start they need, right? You just need to be able to get the ball rolling to try and move up the leaderboards. You don't need to come into the top 3, but if you can end the day in like top 10, that's going to put you in a really good spot, especially when Qualifier 3 is next week, and that's going to be like the last chance, right? You're looking to move up the series point leaderboards standings. There we go. I got it, guys. Don't worry.
This time.
Woo!
Well, look, at the end of the day, right, you know, in a 6-game format, you know, that's almost what you sort of need, right? You don't necessarily always want to be panicking after the first couple games. If they can, you know, build off the foundation of this game, you know, historically, you look back at World Cup duos with Aqua and Nyrox and their famous comeback, right? So these things are possible. You're going to look to try and have a better game now. And, you know, after the game that they just had, after the clutch there at the end of key crucial shots. Also, another point, another one of the French-speaking trios that's a bit newer, not, you know, as a result of the shuffle, but just in general this season. So look, all around, it's a good day for them, and hopefully they can build off of this one.
Yeah, and you know, one team so far who has not any need to kind of catch up the pace has been Kiriachi's team so far. We saw huge pop-ups them, lots of eliminations. What was that there? 6 eliminations that game, which goes back to exactly kind of what I said a little bit earlier, that they're just going to consistently hit those top 5s. They've had a 4th, a 3rd, and a 5th so far, with roughly 5 average eliminations, actually 6 average eliminations so far per game. And that's just going to keep them going through the next 3 games as well. I'm sure they're really starting to fly ahead when it comes to who is in 1st place right now. They've definitely got to still be in the top 3 though.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, earlier on in the week, we made a video kind of breaking down some of the stats that we use during the FNCS. And I want to dive deeper in on specifically contested versus uncontested. Reese, this ebb and flow of contention is really going to make or break some of these trios, especially in the early game when it is vital to win.
Yeah, some of these are completely go for 11, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, right, this is something we've all experienced as Fortnite players, and it's sort of the pain as a professional. You can see here Trixie lands, and the first thing is he forgets is that there is a window there, and so he can be shot through it. We've all experienced this. It's incredibly painful, and so he goes down as a result of that to the knock. Fortunately, though, for him, his teammate Tenzin is able to pick up a rifle and actually do something that we all also are very familiar with, and going for 50-50 against Zico, that he wins, right? We've all experienced that. But once again, he forgets there's a window behind him. He gets shot through it, and now he's on 7 HP. Moving forward, though, you'll see he eventually goes down. He's just too low. He doesn't have the arsenal to be able to deal with the players dealing with him. And then Jaggy, right, in a situation where he's 1v3, not much he can actually do there. He eventually just goes down, right? Like, this is so painful as a professional, because off spawn you're trying to mitigate as much of the RNG off spawn as possible, but when you end up in those situations where you're fighting Kai, it's all awkward. There's just not much you can do there, and so they go from having a phenomenal second place game to just going down off spawn. Unfortunate for them. You can see in the standings they're sitting there in 6th place. Nevertheless, though, you can always come back. You can always come back, and sitting in 1st place is Kiri actually storming right in 2s. A phenomenal day for them so far. Definitely a better day than last week's, or 2 weeks ago now, I should say.
Absolutely. No, they've started to move up, like we already mentioned. But Vino, Taste, and Reason also go up a little bit. They kind of clutched a few points from that after the historic reboot play with the launchpad afterwards that game. That was a really, really good clutch to keep them moving up, just to get a few more points out. But look, Cami Teak also starting to appear. Look how close this is currently where that 3rd threshold is. Remember, top 3 will qualify through to finals. So this is what all these players are playing for. And look at it. 88, 83, 82, 81st separates 2nd down to 5th. Currently halfway into the tournament. This is super, super close.
I do want to point out Flick and Aston Thomas that, you know, they've sort of had a bit of a pedestrian day, and I think as much as, you know, I might seem a bit disappointed, it's because I am. These guys are an elite trio, a team who you expect to come out and have a groundbreaking performance. We all remember their historical Heats performance, you know, 2 seasons ago. Hopefully they can sort of pick up the pace, because I don't really want to see them in Qualifier 3, right? You know, I'm excited for Qualifier 3, but I don't want to see them there. I want to see them straight in the finals, and so hopefully they can pick things up in these last couple of games. But yeah, you know, they've been rather quiet today.
I smell a 20 bomb. That's it.
Man,
I mean, look, when Reese calls these things, he's already called the trio in 1st place at least halfway through the competition. He's calling a 20 bomb elimination. You know what? We'll see. We'll see. But you guys know what time it is. The battle bus is raring to go. So we're jumping in for more action here from the FNCS. So Shy Wager SunTwist, back over to you, friends.
Is it Reese's nose we trust before the close of games today, Sancho? That is a question we have to answer in this next game coming up. At the same time, can Kiri actually hold on to the lead? Because now they're kind of building a stable point gap between 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. We saw in the previous season, all the qualifiers, it does come down to game 6. So don't go anywhere. We still have a lot more games left here for the FNCS qualifiers. But Shia, I don't know what Reese knows. That guy knows a lot.
He knows a lot, but his nose knows what his nose knows is the real question. And while we kind of ponder over all the words that this man can come up with, Tayson is going to be the one we're going to be tuning in, flying in towards the island. And as we watch, it's Teak versus Flick off spawn.
Hey, all I know as well as Levin, you know, I guess they didn't get the memo. Trixie did not get the memo about the windows because he gets knocked again by Zico.
Oh, no. So, you know, that breeze is going to be coming in through the window, so are the bullets. At the same time, Dirty Docs is going to be kind of weird too, but I have to assume it has to be a flyby shot from Teak there onto Flick.
And what we're seeing as well is Red Rush's trio figuring out Bagpie's trio down there at Boney Burns. Earlier, there was a little bit of a scruffle, but now you get to see Tayson's POV on how he's able to get some beams here. Gets a 1 tag there, but you're kind of seeing things. I mean, Seti, wait, yeah? You remember, hey, sometimes what Seti does is actually lands at the blue antenna and he kind of peeks into Dirty Ducks. I'm thinking that maybe happened. I'm looking at my mind's eye, and maybe that's what's happening here. I mean, Seti was able to get some valuable tags going down through that way. I mean, we definitely have to take a look. Maybe the boys on the desk could definitely pull some replays there to see what happened of Seti getting some 2 knocks on Levin's trio that he's been saying that, you know, so far it's disappointed him.
Yeah, I think that might even just be a full finish on that trio, because we saw Flick knocked already. I think that was Nas and Thomas rolling in as well towards the end. So the Teak Seti combination can be supporting the whole way through. Will leave the entire major POI of Dirty Docs on the east side open. Meanwhile, Malabuka up against Robabs. That must be happening at Steamy Stacks once again. I mean, both these teams have gotten to survive previous games, but now they're going head-to-head too. It seems like, Sancho, majority of the server might have run out of patience now in game number 4.
Patience is going to be a key factor. Malibuca getting a knock and elimination on Nate. But hey, I think
it's just Stacey left, right?
I believe so. I mean, Malibuca is still in about the middle of the leaderboard right here. Top 3 gets in. Malibuca in 14th place coming into that. T get elimination on Anas. I gotta know what happened, man. I'm so curious because it's so rare for a team from a Cammy split pushing into Dirty Docks. Like I said, unless Seti got a knock on the blue antenna. But now we will continue to ponder that as we still on board here with Sapphics Trio here at Hydro 16.
I have the timing tutorial, so definitely a blue antenna knock happened, right? Because it was almost instantaneous, and we know these guys in 4th place. Yeah.
Yes.
In 4th place, Seti, Cammy, and Teak, there's no way they're just switching over to land Dirty. So I think Teak got Flick as he was flying into Dirty Docks. And then right after that, off the knock, Seti just makes the call. Let's just push this and see what we can get. They might have got a pump out of a chest. They might have landed so fast that they not only got the blue antenna knock, but they could push as well. Drop up in a cart, go straight through. 30 seconds after, Seti gets 2 knocks. Nas gets picked back up maybe by Flick, and then Teak gets the final elim, but that's definitely off the blue antenna. I don't think they're going to direct contest. But as a result of everything, right, Sancho, right? As a result of getting those knocks, they now get to actually land in Dirty completely uncontested. They get a buff on their loot.
Wait, I'm sorry to go. What if like it just happened where they just pushed into Dirty? Like all the blue antenna, nah, they just went and landed.
If they landed Dirty, these guys are crazy. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
It would be out of the norm. I 100% agree. But hey, I mentioned Seti, Cammy, and Teak being much more aggressive. I mean, it could be in their game plan. Maybe they saw a chink in the armor of Thomas HC. Maybe the kings of Dirty Docks would be, you know, taking over, man.
Possibly. I mean, they just took over 2nd place with those 3 elims, because now they're going to be at 89 points while Tayson's trio is at 88. So we'll see how that rolls as this game goes around.
I have a question for you, sir. If Tayson doesn't make it into the top 3, will that be a disappointing finish? Will that be, oh, they're still gelling? Or, because I asked you right before the entire run started today, is it a guarantee? And we all basically said yes, right?
It should be a guarantee, right? But people make different decisions while they play. Sometimes Tayson just goes and decides to loop Coral completely instead of doing his normal, Believer beach drop and then moving out of the way there. And sometimes Air Baffle decides to just keep contesting people game after game. Waffle are now on the bottom side. They'll be the focus this time around. But as we're in Pleasant Punishment Park, we'll see this fight happen, I guess, for the next 2 games as well. On the note of, Tayson, I don't think it's super disappointing at the end of the day, because I think for everyone, they're just looking at the grand finals placements and exactly how those work completely. I feel like in the quals, even if they don't make it this week, a 4th and another 4th, and then qual 3, even if it's another 4th, they'll just keep popping off.
It would be social media food. That's what it will be. It'll
exactly.
Give someone,
yeah, we love the drama.
Give it some talking points to go into, but Passive right now going against Peach's trio, using the talking points of the way of the gun here. That's the language that everyone seems to understand here on the Fortnite Island. We've been seeing it all day. People shooting warning shots with hand cannons, but this is a good old-fashioned box fight here. And now we talked about it. There's no one on front, so you see Passive right now looking for angles. So you got Shady and Baffo and AR, all looking for angles here, but it gets greeted. Passive gets greeted right when he gets close enough by Woodsy. And hey, remember last qualifier, Passive and Baffo and Shady, they were essentially, picked on by Hens Trio, who made that rotation from Craggy over into the deep woods dish. And now that Passive's free, they're making their push into Pleasant Park, but Peach's trio and gonna colliding with Shady. Peach makes quick work of Shady in that 50-50. Passive now makes quick work of Woodsy. They're trading elims to and fro.
Woodsy, Peach, and Waffler right now, these guys are in 33rd place. So they're really feeling damage of this off-spawn, what looks like conditioning, basically. Air Baffle just wants to control Pleasant Park at all costs, and he's been winning over and over again today. Peach will try to build to the moon. Air Baffle will try to get all the way up there. I think we'll see Passive maybe knock things out, or Air Baffle just do something crazy and land a big shot.
And this is what I'm thinking, like, you know, this is going to be a great opportunity for, you know, a Believer Beach trio or Boney Burbs trio to make their way through. And right now, I'm not seeing that right now from anybody. So they're just letting whatever happened here at Pleasant Park kind of occur. AR's trio is coming into, you know, even though despite they may be winning this, Shayo, they're right now, their leaderboard placements are not that great. They're in 27th place coming into this. Oh, you got to watch out and run out of builds. They're trying to reboot Shady into this fight to get the man advantage. Nice tags on Peach here. Storm's going to wash over this engagement. This is going to be one of those engagements that will last a while. Ooh, it might be wrapped up soon as Waffler takes some big hits against AR. Ooh, a knock right there. Oh, can he get the second? Yes! 2 Ps.
Oh, man.
Greeted with a spray of AR bullets, and I talked about it being a long engagement, but it looks like we got the quick version of it. That's the TR, what was it? Too long to read?
TLDR.
Yeah, there it is. That's what we just got.
That fight just had, like, you know, very, very nuanced beginning, too long of a middle, but then a very, very quick finish with the AR from AR. So I like what I see there. They'll be able to move out and get Shady back in the game as well. But once again, the cost of conditioning, obviously they'll just be kind of middling overall today. I don't expect anything higher than maybe 20th place for AR Bafo, but they will come out with the win over at Control of Pleasant Park. And as that zone closes in as well, it's going to be towards the east side. Lazy Lake Trio, who used to be in second place, that's the one that I believe Link is going to be the one landing over there. They kind of fell way down to 15th now. So Link, Fury, Irazumi, they have the chance to control the map at this side. But at the same time, having, you know, Seti Kami Teak land that Dirty Dog Sancho, that is huge. I mean, they're going to have a big say as to who gets to play on this side of the map as well.
Absolutely. On the bottom right, it is Deceptos, Floki, and Clement. And I think they've changed their drop. Ooh, nice sniper shot with 104 against Splash. But Deceptos, I believe they changed their drop and went back home to Misty Meadows. Because look at that, they're here, and you're seeing on the map there is another trio down there, but this is a team that's in 7th place right now. They have to make their way up the board, and they're about 10, 12 points away for crossing into that top 3 threshold, which is being held down by Red Rush, Asterios, and Mappy.
It's very close on the board right now. People are just kind of 1 to 2 points away from each other. Those one trio wipe away from being inside basically the top 3 almost. So we'll see if it's possible for him, Clement, and Floki, who's bit right now. But at the same time, I mean, Andalex and Squeeze, these guys are going to be right beside and right above Floki, Clement. There's no room for error for either trio right now.
And you're seeing Andalex here. Leo getting a knock on Vino, so the slide kind of continues. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the feed. That gets Shayo up on his feet. Quite surprised to see Vino going knock to Tayson and Reason. They're still holding on to 2nd place here, as Kirachi has about a double-digit lead on 1st place.
I don't think anyone can make up that lead, especially if no one's affecting Kiriachi off spawn. But at the same time, how is Vino falling game after game, slightly separated from everyone else? I mean, I understand last one, Sancho, right? These guys were shambles on the bottom side of the map. It was tough. At the same time, you know, Red Rush's squad as well. I feel like, you know, it used to be Red Rush versus Kiriachi off spawn a lot. There used to be some crazy battles down at Slurpee. And now it kind of seems like Kiriachi on low ground at the end of the game versus Red Rush on a height. We saw Kiriachi kind of falling short, but he had the consistency available for the elims and the placements he has so far to maintain that lead. These guys don't really need Victory Royales that much anymore. On the side of Mappy, Exterios, and Red Rush, they need to do something to catch up. They're about still 15 points behind Kiriachi for the moment. Some placements been handed out across the board as well. But if both trios stay alive, it'll be the elims that make the difference. And right now, these guys have 3, so they've made up a little bit of time.
This trio previous season kind of surprised me. You know, they finished 1st in their heat and they came in 13th place as well. And hey, you can't forget Red Rush is an FNCS squads champion. And you was talking about all those things. It was coming down from the Slurpee Swamp, and that was with Droban, Zappy, and Wakey. So he has that experience. Can they get that experience to be able to get them again into the FNCS finals as you see them basing up there at the Spire there and there at the lake? But a big surprise was Podesize Trio walking away with the Victory Royale. And if they're going to want to do it again, they're going to have to do it as a duo. But hey, one less than Podesize can do that considering they are the veteran duo of the trio.
Yeah, and I was about to even talk about this as quick stat comes on screen. These guys are basically at the bottom of the board before that win. So they got a ticket basically to have a chance to maybe be top 10. If they get crazy and get 2 more wins, maybe top 3. But you're talking about playing as a duo. Neekov is the one that's down, and it's got to be one loss in Podesai. I mean, yes, they have that duo chemistry, but at the same time, that leadership I feel like coming through from Neekov without the chances of, you know, doing big things. Big sniper shot. It's going to have to be multiple headshots, Bill Sancho. These guys are looking for with the sniper. I mean, eating this much storm, being this far behind, and then you have to box up next to Tayson. It's going to be very tough for these guys to come back from the situation.
The same kind of movement we saw from the bottom of the board to the middle of the pack with Sky's trio as well. So the French know how to make their way up their leaderboard. But look, it's a battle. Vino is back on his feet. Tayson and Reason Rail are trying to hold on at the dish. This is going to be a fight that they cannot afford to go down here. If they do get a knock in, they're going to go ahead and pull back here and make sure they get maximum Storm Surge tags. Bang, there it is. They're going to be able to clean that up, and that's what you want to do when you get a knock. Pull it back, put them on your shoulders, get that maximum Storm Surge, be able to loot up properly, and then go back into the fight. And Tayson and Reason are able to get another knock on Miles here. This will be quite a matter of moments before they clean up this trio. And they're looking great, but again, they're sitting on the edge of the storm, but I think this is where they want to be.
Yeah.
Their beams weren't working out for them when it comes into sitting out high, trying to be these guardian towers, shooting out bullets. That's not their style. Their style is getting into your face, box fighting you, understanding that they're going to get those quick eliminations and moving on. And that's what they're going to do. There they go, move on. They're going to ignore that fight behind them and get into zone with that permanent pad.
Have the switch up moment though, where they stop doing that box to box thing and then look for the best place to try to take height. We saw it a lot in week 1.
Great
the
rotation.
issue is the best of the best followed them afterwards as well, right? They do this rotation in week 1, and then Aqua would be like kind of right behind them or mirroring them on the other side of the map. So you couldn't really see how good they really were with Aqua there, just, you know, thwarting every effort they had of taking height. Where's Aqua now though, Sancho? He's waiting in the finals. There's no one to stop these guys here other than themselves. If they don't make mistakes, they win.
And I would have to say there's no one in this qualifier 2 that's telling me, oh, this is a height team that could go against Aqua's height pushes. This is not possible. Aqua, we've seen as basically a solo contest height by himself. And so far, I have not been given any kind of evidence to see any trios in this lobby, maybe besides Tayson's trio, who've already they collided. I don't see anyone else that's going to be able to take that height away from Aqua's trio.
Hey, give Flick and Nos Thomas one more game. Let's see if they can do it. You know, they do crazy. It's the game 5-6 Warriors, man. That's all I'm saying. These guys are the business of those final moments.
I don't know, man.
A little bit of a chance.
Business is closed, man. Mike will be going bankrupt right now, man. I don't know. The funds are low for Tayson, for Thomas HC's trio right now.
Hey, but the stocks are high for Kiriachi Storm Red and Toos right now. I mean, 108 points. We haven't seen anyone else, you know, at triple digits just yet. There's a lot of people who are mighty close, but they are a very, you know, they have a very dominant lead at the moment. They just can't trip over their own feet, and no one's kind of affecting them. You're talking about, you know, Tayson kind of going low ground, box to box. This is one of the best teams of just making a bigger base, being able to bully people and get a lot of information, and then move out after the fact. Their base will be on fire. That's just because they have so many points that their feet are now setting things ablaze. They can't hold on to, you know, all that glory. So it's all good. Nah, it's going to be, you know, someone just throwing up a little Firefly jar somewhere, but it's all good. They don't get affected. They have the hard mats. Steady Kimmy, Teak, Sancho, they might be the counter to them all the way to the late game. Kirachi might be able to control a lot in low ground, but if Steady Kimmy and Teak are there as well, they can steal a lot of points and then maybe even win out the game completely at the end of the day.
They're usually in the lane over. If they're all driving on the low ground, it's like a highway. They're like 2 lanes over on the other side doing the same kind of work as Asterios gets an elimination on Bad Sniper. And now they're going to go ahead and make their way through, considering that most of the trios who are caught on the outside have made their way through. And you're seeing, actually, there's still 1, 2, 3, about 10 trios still have to make this this big rotation right through the lake, and they're gonna go right through the beams of Cammy City and Teak. So expect them to be being very strong when that storm surge comes across during moving circles.
Red Rush will also be able to just control height completely for the next few zones, especially if they get a favorable 5th and 6th. There's such a good spot all the way up high. These guys are now completely fine. So they're right back in it. I think they have the Chuck Splash Cannon as well. And max mats. That was the issue last time, right, Sancho? They had 2 llamas, somehow still ran out of mats. and somehow had bad position even though Zone was at Coral.
It was that engagement they took at the tower and Believer Beach against Lizen's trio that exhausted all their mats. But you're still seeing Link as well. Link is a trio that we're talking about that was in first place, but it's now slipped down to 15th. Now you're seeing on 5th place right here is Sapphic. They're trying to hold on alongside with Gaben, I believe. This is, I mean, I have to go up based on what my knowledge here. So it's Sapphic and Gaben here as a duo, and they're 28 below the surge. They have a lot of options around them, considering that most of the circle is here. But let's see how they're going to handle this about 20 seconds that half in and half out. 5th zone will reveal itself. And Shio, we saw this last in qualifiers, game 6. It was in this area and went back up towards the mountains. If it goes down south, it's going to be another wet and wild finish.
It will be difficult. Many different spots of the land. We have some people on an island by themselves, some people up top on a mountain by themselves, and some almost drowning inside the lake. And that's very, very similar to how the leaderboards are looking right now too. Everyone on their separate islands, some looking to move to others, but everyone now will have to go straight back to land. It'll be very different too, Sancho. This is between like two very big hills, so there'll be a little bit of a valley in the middle. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to be caught all the way down in there. And a lot of people will have to move too.
Cammy and Steady and Teak are really good. They're right there in that peach area. They just basically slide over one little bit of a bit, and they're in the safe zone. You look like Red Rush and Mappy. I think they made their glide. They're right there on the lower side of the screen. They're off the spire, and they're in the safe zone. Now it's Iris, Fury, and Leak here. Like I mentioned, they're in 15th place. They were in the top of the board earlier. They have the power position on the high ground. And let's see who's going to be able to take it away. As we're on board, we are first place, Kirachi, Toos, and Stormy Wright.
And these guys are on the island. There's people who are looking very comfortable, looking to stay consistent. You're right, Link in 15th is looking to get back there. They were evicted a few games ago. They have height. They have kind of, you know, fake first class tickets, and they want to make sure they actually get along on that airplane to ride high, maybe even stay inside the top 10, top 5. This will be the game to change things. 5th zone now. Finally closed again. Looks like no one really had issues moving in at all. Versa picks up Voxy as he tries to get all the way. It's not going to be it though for him. Knocked his train ride will just end for now. Malabuka, the defensive squad down low, they get hit a bit, but not really affected.
I'm seeing on high in the bottom right, Irez, that trio is unable to get any tags because literally there's so many catacombs, all these boxes right below them. This whole server is in the safe zone essentially, and there's no one to pick on sitting on the outside of the storm. So they're not finding those tags.
Now we have options. This is going to be going towards the Lake Islands, Lazy Lake itself. The Hydro Dam, no, it pulls up towards very mountainous landscapes. This is going to be tragic for a lot of these low ground trios and have to expend their pads, have to be careful with every single wall, and use triple the mats they usually do to navigate this terrain.
That's the trio of Teak, Seti, and Cammy. They have to figure that out, and you nailed it right there. Let's take a look here. Irez currently leads all players with 17 solo impact points. What does that mean? Essentially, this man is getting those eliminations. He's getting those placement points for his trio. So Irez is doing a phenomenal job staying on his feet and racking up those points for his trio.
He's on stilts now too, because these guys got high ground and they're going to be looking to just extend it the whole way through. Multiple bases are extending. No one wants to go all the way to low. Yes, we're dropping between mountains, but just like a roller coaster, in a second, things will get more exciting as we ramp up again and low ground gets into trouble. Lots of people flying in the air. Said he's going to be the first target for Irazumi, but he's going to get by unscathed. While that happens, many people down below will look to maybe even pressure the people at the front of the tarp, Fury and Link, but they stay secure.
Stormy right here, making his way on the right side. They're going for height. They're getting closer. Looks like they find an opportunity here. Satisfied with this layer, they're going to wait right here, but you can see how aggressive they may be going. But Hirachi is low and Toos is knocked. So now it's up to Stormy right again to get as many solo points as power. We're talking about those power placement opportunities. Stormy right is doing that right now, and Hirachi is really low. And then a very scary layer, considering that Dietrich is here as well.
We go from a little simulator of just looking at farmland, green grass as these guys move around to a horror game as they have to drop all the way into every single box beside them. They don't know where Edison come from. They're going down once again. There's nowhere to move. Kiriachi's popped a little bit of a flopper, so he's able to have a little bit of HP. No, it's actually a siphon finish that comes through for him. They'll keep moving. Vino knocked again by Malabuka, and Stormy Right and Kiriachi are now once again just invading box to box.
You're seeing right now Storm and Right Kirachi, our first place team on the backside of Storm. Irez trio is sitting on high, and looks like Shizo is gonna be able to contest that here. Can Fury hold on between Malabuka? But on the low ground, it's Soup Keeve, the first time in the broadcast, but it's Tayson, the solo all-star champion, is gonna have to do something here to be able to get up into the top 3. And so far, with just the 2 eliminations, they're getting closer and closer to solidifying their spot here as Teak lights up the feed as well. So Teak, Seti, and Cammy are moving up, and that's a form, but Tayson catches someone. Hello, Stormy, and Stormy Right gets eliminated. So can Tayson not only move up the board right now with this play, but can he do so with another highlight? Red Rush gets eliminated, and Tayson is affecting the top 3 with his bullets.
I've seen this before. Tayson by himself. His build count looks flimsy, but his shots are stronger and more structured than ever. Him by himself can end up winning this game if enough other trios get affected and splintered the whole way through. Inside of wood box, no builds left. The Falcon has to get active. 1 shot, 2. Give me more, Tayson. Inside the storm. This is his home. It's where he lives. Inside the siphon. Inside the maximum shotgun damage. And he gets more builds. 2 left now. You take away that build meter, he gets active with those bullets. Another 100 on the Suzuki. Shusi is the one to stop this man's reign, but he was so close to giving us another big clutch performance again.
The highlight, Tayson getting some huge eliminations. Malabuka gets an elimination on the high. Mustache right there with 8 eliminations, but wow, what a great show. 11 eliminations total for Malabuka, and they're moving up to top 3 as well, all the way from Steamy Stacks. But here, we are still elated and on a high with Tayson's performance. Versa, unable to slow down Malabuka and Mustache here. But wow, Seti is still alive. So Seti is still alive, and that's going to be huge as well for the top 3. It's Cammy and Seti against Malabuka and Mustache and Shusi. No, I don't think anyone knows Shusi's up there.
He's gonna try to survive on height. Malabuka has that rock armor shell of builds all the way around him. He dropped Mustache down slightly to do his own thing. Shusi, 1 pumps him at almost 1 HP, 1v2, and he wins it out. At the end of the day, an insane shot, but now it's up against Seti and Cammy all the way down on low. Seti goes back in the storm. What's it gonna be here? Just maybe hiding his body so Cammy can play it out and he doesn't get siphoned. Shusi up top, trying to do his own thing. Does he have enough HP to do it though? Is he slightly higher? Yes, Cammy. He pops one of the floppers that he has in his inventory. What a display of shots from Shusi, but it's not enough to fight the positioning of Seti, Cammy, and Teak with the 4th victory royale.
Man, that game had it all for the EU region. Highlight plays from Tayson, some big plays from everybody, and hey, a classic heel off for the Cammy trio. Hey, yeah, you had it all, man. You had it all, Shayo.
A sprinkle of everything. I like the flavors. I want to see exactly what the favorite is, though, of the deaths, because that was a lot of stuff, you're right, Sancho, to break down.
Friends, we merely adopted the storm. Tayson was born in it, okay? This guy, as much as I want, we're gonna give Cammy, Seti, and Teak their moment in the sun. Tayson, I'm tired of talking about you, man. I'm tired of constantly telling the world how incredible you are. Just give me a break, man. Give me a moment of reprieve.
He just keeps giving us reasons. Let's be real. He keeps giving us reasons to talk about him. So much about that specific game is just crazy to me, right? If you want some insight into what us analysts do, we don't just sit there cranking, right? We do talk about what's going on. What I was saying, right, before, I literally was asking Reese and Zeke, when was the last time we saw Cammy, Seti, and Teak win a game in an FNCS broadcast? And like, I was trying to think back, I was trying to know, Reese, I believe, actually remembered specifically when. But the fact that now they actually have just won a game again on broadcast, perfect timing. Look, these guys are showing that, you know, they are still a top trio that we need to be worrying about. A great game for them. And now, you know, these final games are going to be very interesting, Reese.
Absolutely. I think you showed your clairvoyance indeed in that discussion, picking them. And look, they've definitely got to be climbed up into that top 3 slot right now, purely based on that huge performance. But like some of the other teams are popping off. Look, Shupaki up on high ground, the 1v2 onto the mid ground. What a play to catch up. That's tons of points. Remember, 4 elimination points, plus they're going to get the additional placement points from coming in second as well. Beautiful plays from their team.
Malibu as well, right? Their trio ended 12 eliminations. I mean, the damage is done, right? We'll have to see what the standings look like in just a little bit. First, we got to talk about Cammy, Seti, and Teak. How did they get to this position where they can finally take a victory royale for themselves?
Look, just look at it. Look at this. This starts off with the Storm Surge strategy straight away. Teak lands up onto the Spire and picks up Flick out of the sky. Easily 100 tags. Thomas, look, he's trying to do whatever he can to get Flick back up in the game, trying to harvest the brick from down here so that he can create some builds. But look, as you notice, he knows it's too late. Seti moves on in, and they also pick up the elimination there onto Thomas HD. So that's 2 super easy eliminations off the bat that they've managed to pick up. Tons of Storm Surge tags because they got those on the knock bodies as well. So great start to the game. From then on, they just managed to place classic mid game.
And Reese, it's funny because right before this game, I said, look, Thomas and Nas Flick, they've had a pedestrian day to get picked off spawn like that. You know, that's what I'd expect if it was me gliding into Dirty Docks, right? Not one of the best teams in the world. So unfortunate there. Look, Seti, Cammy, and Teak deserve their place on top at the moment. You can see, 134 points. They've not created a massive gap yet, but definitely something to take note of. And of course, Kiri actually storming right, Toos in second. And look, Tyson with that huge sort of couple of eliminations has pushed his team into third place now as well. So they're going to be looking to hold on. This final game does get very interesting. Not the finest of margins compared to what we've seen in the past, but definitely room for someone to come in and steal a top 3 slot.
Yeah, definitely. Any of the top 6, to be honest, anyone on the top page can hugely come back and clutch up right in there. But if you look on to the next page, these guys right now, right, they're going to be looking for as much points as they can definitely get, right? They're going to see if they can get their wards closer to the top 3, but series points is going to be huge for a lot of the teams that are sitting onto this page. Like I mentioned, Flick and Nas, Thomas HD, currently in 15th place, right? Being picked up off spawn out of the sky has got to be a detrimental one to your mindset, right? You've got to think, what can we do to kind of come back to this? Because in all honesty, what can they do to counterplay that? They had the perfect drop to make themselves get in, and they just get picked up out of the sky because Teak has some of the best aim out there, along with obviously Seti and Cammy as well. So hopefully this next game's going to have to try and bring something back for them to climb even closer to the top 3 if possible for them.
Get
this
better,
is a tough order.
20 bomb, get better. Let's go.
There you go. So 20 bomb and get better. That's what we're going to see in the next 2 games of the FNCS qualifier number 2. Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are enjoying all of the action so far. We've only got 2 games left. Then we'll know which top 3 are going to auto-qualify and go into finals. And we'll watch as everyone else is continuing to play for the series point leaderboard points. I said it. I did it again, Reese. I did it again. I'm 2 for 2. Okay. The battle bus honks, which means the bus driver is ready to go. Therefore, we're going into game number 5 of the FNCS. So, Shire Wager, Sancho West, over back to your beautiful faces.
Thank you, Zeke, so much. We've kind of pitched in together, me and Sancho, to get you a dictionary after this broadcast. You can just, revise the words over and over again, see what's good. Because I think we almost hopped into the battle bonk there, Sancho, right before this final game started. But still, the top 2 fighting right now, 2 very different low ground squads who play an insane game, and they're going head to head.
They're going head to head. We've seen them clash multiple times. We see them in each other's POVs. Like I mentioned, there's like a highway and they're both lanes just separated them. But what's going to go down here is game 5. And we've already seen, look at the feed already lighting up. Jaggy getting some eliminations on Jules' trio. Sun coming back and getting Trixie. But I'm just surprised. We were right. It wasn't the blue antenna, but it was the Spire way out there. And it looks like, did someone land up there to play some defense?
Might have. There got to be some adjustments if you have a perfect dirty drop and you're getting taken out by Seti, Cammy, Teak. There has to be a little bit of worrisomeness coming through from the Dirty Dogs squad. At the same time, I mentioned these guys are one of the low ground teams. I think the thing that's separating them from Kiriachi and making them play a lot better is that they go for space, Sancho, right? So they're going and moving first. Seti sometimes is taking zone damage and he covers a lot of space. Meanwhile, Kiriachi's trio, they play based off who's around them. They look for trios, not space. They like to set up traps, follow another squad in. So, Seti, Cammy, Teak, they set themselves up to sometimes be in better spots to get more elims. They set themselves up to last longer as well. Kiriachi might have more consistent placements, but Seti's placements are hitting harder with double-digit elims. It's huge for them, and it's giving them a 10-point lead over Kiriachi now.
Yeah, there you saw the leaderboard top 3 get in to the finals. And hey, I think what you're saying right now is basically Kirachi, they love to play in the backside of the storm. Like, they're fine being late a little bit. They're fine. They're trying to find anyone that's, you know, being pressured by the storm on their backside. But at the same time, I think, yeah, Steady likes to be on the front. But here is Red Rushers right now. Red Rush, who was in the top 3 before in game 4 started. Now they're just on the outside, 4th place, 9 points away from Tayson's trio. So, and yeah, you're seeing it. The pressure is there. They're no longer kind of winning against Backfire. They're not being too aggressive. They're not going all in for eliminations. They're trying to understand, like, hey, let's try to get some placement points. Let's try to get to in game. And Backfire right now, all they're playing for is series points. You know, they're not going to be able to get in the top 3. It's just not possible unless they drop those 20 eliminations that the boys are talking about. But Red Rush and Asterios and Mappy, they have to be careful because they're not playing with house money. Backfire trio is.
Yeah, they went from Red Rush these guys for the first 4 games to Red Run away from the POI on the 5th. I mean, top 4, things are definitely getting serious. And I feel like they've always kind of pushed off of an advantage. They don't find one, Sancho. They got to just, you know, haul all the way away.
Boney Burbs is not one of those places that you could kind of, get an engagement and then go back to and replenish everything. It's like, that's it. Once all the resources are gone, once you hit up the slurp trucks, that's it. And that's why they're going to go ahead and retreat over to risky reels. You know, that's one thing with Aqua's trio there and Boney Burbs, we see how someone could just hold it down to themselves and their options. But when there's 2 people contesting, it's what it comes down to, like who got the towers and who got the loot. And if you don't get any other things, you got to retreat.
Absolutely have to. For Malibuca, though, for Sash and Shizo, these guys never, ever retreat. They've been, invaded by 2 different trios these 4 games and have defended successfully against them. I think one of them was Snazy, Robab, and ForceZR that were rolling in. Or I'm getting all the shuffles mixed up. But at the same time, there's upper echelon teams fighting them. They're not even getting a knockdown at all. They just end up winning time after time.
It's steamy stacks. Everyone's used to being contested here. It's one of those hot spots for the EU region. And I already mentioned it. It's Andretta, Savage, and Refsguard. That's the trio that's currently who auto-qualified from the previous season by finishing 2nd place. That's the team that Malibuca has been trading barbs with the entire season. And Malibuca has been coming up on top against Savage's trio.
And right now they're dropping up top on Akiro, a 3-man operation. Launchpad put down, but now you got 3 AR spraying at you, my man. I'm not sure if this is going to be the wave, but he only gets hit once. Regroups with this trio all the way at the suburbs outside Steamy, and Malibuca's like, yeah, we're not those guys. We gotta back up a bit.
The beams come through. Malibuca changes his trajectory, flight path. He's going to go back up into the dish area up here. As you've seen Reason getting a knocked in Hydro. See, Tayson's trio, they decided finally to push into Boney Burbs.
There we go.
I've been waiting for that push to happen. And there it is, the Believer Beach trio coming into Boney Burbs and getting a knock.
But Snazy also being traded somewhere else across the map. And I don't even know where this is at this point. This is absolutely insane. Okay, we're at Logjam. It's built around the entire way, and there's Sunset in the place or in the way as well. He actually is playing very consistently, but once again, as mentioned at the start, these guys aren't taking enough risks in the end game. They're playing very safe and secured. That consistency will last, hopefully for top 3. But first might get taken away if they don't try to branch out and get more than 5 elims a game.
And we're seeing right now the adjustments that Kirachi has made, considering the POI has had a reduction in its loot due to the mothership, and they're going to find their loot out here in Logjam. So that is the adjustment you're seeing that these Fortnite pros are making. And the good thing is, it's good thing they had like about a week to work with this, you know, considering that you had the Rift Tour, but, you know, the mothership came in right before the Rift Tour and messed up Slurpy Swamp, so to speak, for them, the Slurp Factory. And they've had the time to kind of figure it out. And like I said, in earlier qualifying rounds, they went to Believer Beach and they kind of got some high eliminations and a victory royale. Now they go back to their home turf and they're able to find success considering that they're still in the top 3. But hey, they're slowing down at the wrong time. They're being consistent, but now it's not the time to drop that consistency.
Oh, not at all. Got to make sure that, especially with the style, you always keep ramping up, but ramping up towards the later games gets so much more difficult. It's a paradox on both sides that this trio will have to break. It'll be troublesome. As Exterios too, going for this cosmic chest, is going to possibly be interrupted by Liza.
this is the match right here for Tayson to guarantee himself in the top 3. Look at the zone 1 reveal. It's a central zone, and you see their green arrows out there in Believer Beach. They have an easy rotation considering that they did get a couple of knocks on Boney Burbs trio. On the bottom right, it's Asterios, who've already retreated away from Boney Burbs and finding the one of the new cosmic chests. And that could be some very viable loot considering that they were unable to loot Boney Burbs at all. That Hydro's trio kind of basically took it away from them.
Now they're looking for maybe an AR upgrade, but unfortunately, suppressed SMGs the whole way around. They'll get some good utility out of it. They got some good shields, but not enough firepower to look for another W key type beat. Meanwhile, all the way towards the south side, Splash will be pushing what looks like Pickus all the way towards Camp Cod. I mean, you got to look for the elims that you can get.
I'm just waiting right now for the moments here. We saw Tayson kind of take this aggressive push as well. The Pickus right now is on a cooldown for the Insta-Bull, so he's going to wait here. He's rather moments here to be able to use it again. So Splash is going to have to close this out quickly, or Pickus is going to go ahead and basically go around the island if he has the time. Now, anytime you take a shot against the Insta-Bull, it automatically deflates. So it's just a matter of moments here as Pickus is doing all that he can to hold on for just, I don't know, you know, not to make it easy, right?
As much as we can, yeah, you got to make sure that the players who are pushing you, especially this far in the storm, wanted. And wow, that hand cannon, yeah, there's no way he's going to be able to use the inflatable now. Almost fully taken out. He actually gets a shot off on the Splash. I think that he has a chance. There's a big one, but there's no shot. Bucko, he gets taken down. Splash gets the elim, but can Splash even live the whole way through to get back to Storm? I will find out. Right now, we have a big gladiator match at Gorgeous Gorge. Link, Irazumi, and Fury versus Flick, Anas, and Thomas. They're suspended 60 feet in the air, but they're not going to be able to fight it out.
Battle between 14th and 15th. And right now, the biggest surprise is actually that Thomas HD is in that 15th spot. So that's going to be the question is, they're going to need this game and game 6. Shio's already put down his clairvoyant card and said game 6 will be their beast game. Thomas HD not connecting with the sniper shots against Cammy's trio, trying to return that receipt that said he sent them out in the previous round, getting some good tags here and some white heals. Nothing there, Shio. Nothing right there. And Thomas HD, they're going to have to make a move.
Are they going for it? Okay.
I think so. I was about to say this. I think the vendetta is on. I think they're going to go ahead and send a message back to SETI.
I think the thing that actually warrants this the most is that they got white tags on one of these players. So they know they have a little bit of an innate advantage. They'll have the timing on them, but wow, this is first place they're affecting in game number 5. That's huge. And I don't think they're going to stop here either because they're so far behind. They need something rolling in and popping off for them. This fight just might be it.
Hey, if they get a trio ripe on SETI, it's the cherry on top. Yeah, you got the white tags, but I think they know. They have to know who they're going up against right now, but we'll see. Maybe cooler heads prevail and they hit the brakes, and looks like they're going to be able to build up and look for other Storm Surge tags on other rotating trios.
This is what we saw Tayson do in game number 1. But those guys just absolutely dominated. It's just pushing a team that you've gotten tags on and then basing up right beside them, limiting their options and stealing away the Storm Surge damage they would be looking for. It's very smart from Thomas and Austin Flick. And Sancho, they fought like I think at least 3 of these games mid-game and won. So the confidence is there too.
We have to think about what kind of loot that SETI's trio was able to walk away from Dirty Ducks that led them to the victory royale in game 4. And they had to go back to their Cammy split considering that Thomas HD's trio was able to survive the pressure. So that's what I'm going to keep an eye on going forward.
See what they can pick up. Siberia 4-7 Tor, they're still there. Mirroring a team right below them. Future-centric Sapphic. Sapphic went down a little bit towards the 7th zone in the last game. Almost made it towards the end game. Almost made it to glorious placement. Just fell short. Passive picking up Rijas. So more trios these guys are getting involved with. Shady goes down once again to Serbi. Lots of fights around the map.
And Irez gets the knock. That's going to be huge as well. That is that team that is in 14th place. I like to get Thomas Stacey. Hey, just got to move up the board a little bit here in game 5. You're not looking for it all at once here. There's a huge explosion happens right outside Sapphics base. Podicide, Nikov, and Wanlas, who's been the biggest movers of the day on the leaderboard, very close to scratching that top 5 here. But they still have some work to do, considering that they coming all the way from Coral Castle 7 Tour, and Forcer sitting right above this scrum as well. Kind of things are kind of settling in here, Shia. We're talking about it a little bit earlier here before in between games. It's very weird slate of games that are recurring, but I feel like things are kind of settling back to the norm.
Yeah, I think one of the big things too is just like, you know, up until game 5, everyone's still finding out like what their win conditions are for the tournament entirely. Like, outside the top 5, things switch up drastically game after game. Now we're going to be keeping our eyes on Sapphic at 7th place. This is their last chance basically to get towards top 3. They need to perform in this game and outperform anyone in this top 3 as well. Tayson at 128 points with Reason and Vino. The only thing that stopped them from being in first place by almost even 100 points are their own mistakes. Vino sometimes going down, Tayson getting overzealous, overconfident in early game fights. I think Reason's been the most consistent player of the day so far. He's been absolutely lethal, leading the charge in most box fights. But at the same time, it's a team effort entirely. Everyone has to be on the same plan. They're hunting down Red Rush, Mappy, and Exterios right now. They've waited for them to move. They have the advantage with Parasites. And they have the team beat Exterios. I didn't even think he had that blue bar at all. Especially, I barely even saw it move even, and it's just out. But they have time to shield back up. And I guess that's all that these guys will get.
You may have not seen anything, but you heard the ding, ding, ding. You know that some huge tags went through. And you talked about it. Yes, they're being satisfied, and they're going to go ahead and move on through. This is the Parasite that is now on top of their head, which we saw, you know, Benji, Shadow, and Joe use as their advantage. They were able to be really aggressive and take on a lot of box fights, make these open free rotations, understanding that the Parasite would absorb a headshot damage. But now that they've kind of been balanced by the Storm a little bit, they're still a very big part of the meta utilized by our Fortnite professionals.
They're looking to get towards the left side of the map as well, or I actually don't even know what's going on here. I'm trying to think about. Oh yeah,
you
okay.
know,
Respectfully,
the GPS said, you know, make a U-turn, and they're going to go ahead and make that U-turn. They make the exit, but hey, this is going to be like I said, I think this match right here will solidify them in the top 3. They just got to make sure that Vino stays on his feet. That's not saying that Vino is just, it's not a bad player. It's sometimes you just get, you know, you're holding a wall for someone, your teammate, or sometimes you're that last guy that gets into that rotation and you just get hit by a shotgun blast. Yeah. It happens. Vino is still a huge part, a crucial part of their success today.
I think the most unfortunate part about it is you're right. He's literally the 3rd man in. It's the riskiest spot to roll in with. We saw what happened when these guys were shambles. You can't help that 3rd guy walk the whole way through. He has to have the, you know, 2 times better movement than the people in front of him. You're asking to be, you know, you're asking Vino to do the impossible sometimes. And he gets taken out, and then Tayson tries to go for the res, and he gets taken out. It gets tough. But this game, it looks like they have very strong foundations. The team that I feel like has the strongest foundation so far, just in general in mid-game, is Malibuca, Mustache, and Shizo. They're looking real good now, too. Always surrounded by trios, always making sure someone else is taking the pressure and shots for them. With 23 teams left alive, that's a very smart strategy just to hide in the shadows completely. The issue is they're in 5th place now, Sancho. You're gonna have to try to, you know, see some sunlight, do something proactive. This is a very reactive team. They wait for the first shot to be thrown first. That might not last inside the top 5 towards the end.
All I know, there's one trio that's rooting against them, and that's Savage's trio. They do not want to see Malibuca in the finals. Bad Sniper here, they're being their neighbor. T, Cammy, and Set making their move as we're getting the calm of the lobby, making their position. Scenic Point has a couple of trios up there. You got Leo making a rotation on the backside near Blue Bridge. Cammy setting T, gliding over into the safe zone. But this is going to be, hey, the Zate Hill is always infamous for having some wild finishes, and it's dead center here in Zone 4.
Bobby taking a few shots, 102 points. They'll be in the conversation now in terms of fighting towards that top 5, that top 3 as well. Versa and Fly, they've kind of been in between some of these top teams over and over, taken out slightly early, but you know, 4th and 9th today. Other games that were taken out slightly earlier. They've had a lot of elims though in these games they make placement in. So if these guys make endgame, assume that they'll get a lot of those knocks.
Versa just got a knock on Milwaukee. This team in the previous qualifiers in round 4 came in 19th place. They got 79 points, so they're operating way above that in the moment here, ramping up at the right time. And in round 3, they were in 3rd place walking into the set lobby. So Bobby, Versa, and Fly are heating up at the right time. But look, we have the top of the board sitting right next to each other here. So let's see who's going to exchange their first blows across the bow. As you see Tayson's trio sitting right across Kirachi. It's a top 3 right next door to each other.
All 10 points behind each other as well, or within. 134 to start out the game for Seti. Kiriachi had 125. Vino 119. So all inside that triple digit echelon. Waffler going down to Exterios. A big pickup of momentum. And now we'll see what the south side of the server can do. So much congestion, so many knocked bodies down there too. There's Sapphics trio kind of split apart with Centric knocked. Versus kind of high ground controlling things, but you'll notice every trio that's kind of in the top 3 in an upper place slot is not over peaking their boxes. They're going for favorable, quick shots, then maybe supplying the pressure from just one angle. You see Seti, Kemi, Teak all in the same box, shooting the same wall. Make sure you're all on the same page. You don't make a mistake, because if you do right now, you're out, and there goes Toos on the box of Tayson with Kiriachi. They even make, you know, a little bit of a mistake of an edit, and Vino picks that one up quickly. Flick of the Nos as well. Must have been down on Surge or something, because Shakos takes them out. Now it's all up to Stormy right to see if he can hold on to 2nd place, or if he falls towards the depths of the boards.
Stormy Wright once again has to do this as a solo. We've seen him clutch up some valuable eliminations and placement points as Bobby picks up an elim, Future picks up an elim, Kiro eliminates Fly. So we're seeing Bobby and Versa, who are sending beams comfortably now in a little bit of a scrum there. There it is, Tayson once again, and that, you know, causing some ruckus and then leaving before the cops come here. You know, the party started and they're already gone, and that is what's happening as you're seeing the rotation happen. Stormy Wright heard that pad and he's looking for it. Yes, he finds it. He's going to go ahead and glide on through. He's going to follow Bobby and Versa and hopefully not get beamed out of the sky. And look at this. What a great glide, but he has a lot of enemy builds to crack through.
He's also playing solo before the 5th zone even closes. I think even, you know, if you put Tayson in the spot, it's so tough. You don't get to hide behind the chaos of every build. There's so much still open land being taken. Kami, Teak, and Seti, they find a little bit of a target, but it's too low for these guys. I feel like the way they like to play. Kami actually had a pre-edit ready to go to replace the wall. Doesn't actually end up going through. These guys are putting all the stops, the tricks, the action, trying to win this entire week, trying to stay in 1st place, but Stormy Wright is still alive. It doesn't matter how far they place as long as this man stays up on the server.
Looking at down below, Kami, Seti, and Teak are in trouble. Seti right now out, gone. Teak gone. Now it's Kami, and look at that. Only 5 builds up to his name. Can Kami hold on? Only has, I think, 1 corn. Yes, he's all out. Corn is gone.
He had none of the shields for his squad. He was carrying the different types of utility that they could use. Now he just has an inflatable that can't really protect you in endgame. He has the pad though, which is huge. But 145 points for this trio, 140 points for Kiriachi, Stormy Wright, and 2. So it'll be Kami versus Stormy Wright head to head.
Red Rush's trio is still looking strong as well, and Tayson is still at full strength in 3rd place. So you got 2 solos in 1st and 2nd trying to hold on.
And Kami has to eat Storm while he's already down on Surge, 133 below. It can't happen right now in this circle. You not only have to survive, but deal damage too. Keep an eye on the feed because Stormy Wright's alive as well. That's 1st and 2nd. Their entire runs basically rely on these solo players staying alive on the server.
Teammates watching with a bated breath, hoping that their solo could stay alive. Stormy Wright gets eliminated. Stormy Wright is down. 2nd place is out. 1st place is still up, but the Storm Surge, Inflatable, why not an in-game? Let's see if he can be able to move on through. If he gets to the front side, he may catch a body, but it's more importantly, he has to stay alive as much as possible. He found some builds. This could be a moment for them. And look, Storm Surge, he just gets above it, Shio.
Just gets above 79. It's Vino's body's mats. that he takes away. Super Key is the one to find that final elimination, but it's Cammy to reap the rewards of it. If he gets 2 of these 50 pots off as well, this is a very doable situation, almost towards even the 9th zone.
If he gets the top 10, that'll be a huge placement point bonus for Cammy, considering that Red Rush's trio is still making some moves. And did he get some more mats? Yes, he does. Cammy, you're a madman. Cammy, now he's facing the pressure. Cammy with the tack. Yes, Cammy, you're still alive. Gets an elimination on Milo. Oh my goodness, Cammy, this is a performance that we're talking about for ages. And here he comes. Oh, the tack attack was almost there, but the highlights are coming here, Shayo, left and right.
So close, was not enough for Cammy towards all the way to the end. He had some damage dealt down, but Skite is the one to put a stop in his tracks. Mappy, Red Rush, and Asterios now. Another game, another chance at high ground, another chance at a victory royale. It's been stolen from them today multiple times. They have an issue on that final fight. A lot of their ammunition, their pressure is used right now to keep height, and then they get distracted. Tayson finally taken down as well. So the top 3 is removed from their eye lines from in front of them, and now it's up to them to kind of take it all the way away. I think it's 155 points they need to reach right now to truly be ahead of Seti, Cammy, and Teak, and Swimmy, Rekriachi, and Toos.
What an amazing push from Red Rush, Asterios, and Mappy. If they could get that victory royale, like you mentioned, that's going to be them to get into that top 3, but they still have work to do. Bobby, Versa there on the front side. Sun and Ziku there as a duo. Bad Sniper is still up as a solo. You have Miles as well, but Mappy, Red Rush, and Asterios, yes, another elimination right there from Red Rush onto Siptos. That's huge, as you're seeing that the zone is going to be pulling south. It's just away from this monstrous structure, and that's going to give Mappy, Red Rush, Asterios the ability to rack up more eliminations. As you're seeing Mappy get I think he got, no, he still has another. Yes, there it is, 7 eliminations total, and they're looking strong. The builds are low, so if he goes further, if he keeps pushing south here, they're gonna have to be careful. As you mentioned, they've lost a lot of victory royale opportunities.
Yeah, the rest of the lobby looking to survive, but Mappy, Red Rush, Asterios, they're pushing to thrive right now. Chug Splash Cannon up as well. Mappy will be the designated healer for the moment. Shakeoff's taken down, but it's not them getting the elim. No, actually it is. Asterios
Yes.
picks it up. Now comes the final drop down, 3v2, and they cannot choke.
Here it is, Red Rush, Mappy, Asterios, victory royale on the line, and only 2 stand against them, and they're low on HP. The edit, the missed shot, the 40 tag, and the victory royale. 11 eliminations and the win. I'm telling you, they were in 4th place going into that match. And yes, we saw solo clutches between Stormy Wright and, Cammy, but this trio, no doubt, moved up the board. They had to, Shayo. They had to.
That's a 1st place finish there at game 5, though. So there's still 1 more left, Sancho. These guys wanted it more, though, than everyone else in the top 4.
They want it more, and we have a whole lot more to break down. Let's go ahead and kick it to the desk with Zeke, Levin, and Reese.
My goodness, a 2nd place with 9 eliminations just 2 games ago, and now we get the VR from Mappy, Red Rush, and Asterios. 11 eliminations, 11. This is it. This is their make or break moment. With a single game left, they very well could see one of those top 3 spots and auto qual to finals. The dream is real. It's alive, baby.
And the funny thing is, it wasn't too long ago that this trio in particular just was having an absolute torrid time at Slurpee Swamps, where, they looked like they were on the verge of just, falling off the cliff of the EU competitive Fortnite scene. And so to see them have this performance now a couple seasons later, I'm incredibly happy for them. Hopefully they don't bottle it. But after that kind of game, they don't look like they're anywhere near having a chance of bottling it. 2 brilliant games on the day and some, consistent performances outside of that. I'm really impressed by these guys, Reese. I don't know about you.
No, I'm really, really impressed as well. And I kind of go the same route as you with this, where, historically, when we've seen them get to round 4s in qualifiers, like you mentioned, in particular in Slurpee Swamps, we haven't seen them perform too well. But now changing up that drop spot, going for Boney Burbs, getting a more centered map position, even though they're conned off spawn, they're still completely dominating that fight and managing to keep going throughout the rest of the games and capitalizing on them, as we've seen with the big victory off in that final game. So this is kind of exactly what we want to see. And look, they're almost definitely qualified through top 3. It just depends what the leaderboards look like now coming into the final game, but they're looking really good if things get a couple points.
Yeah, I want to like set the stage before we see these final standings. Okay, we had our top 3 coming into this game. So gentlemen, set up what's at stake here and what we could see with a single game left, how things could easily change.
Well, yeah, we're going to start off here, obviously, with Tayson being a reason. A team that we've been talking about non-stop, of course. We've highlighted how many reasons Tayson has given us to talk about this man's name. The big thing is, going into that final game, and they were sitting in third, right? Where would they be now? I think the big thing is about these guys, they need to have that composure coming into this last game, and it's definitely a quality you'd think they possess.
Yeah, and we saw 2 Stormy Right and Kiriachi as well struggle in this last match, where we saw them, I think it was 2 left alive as a solo, just had to clutch any points he could, and unfortunately went down 16th in the first moving. So we're really, really looking for big things for them coming into that final game, because they played really well today.
Yeah, and Cammy and Teak, obviously they were in first place. Probably won't be there, right? But I still expect them to be in the top 3, and yes, they are indeed sitting there in second place. Look, this now gets very, very interesting, Reese. It gets very interesting. Of course, Red Rush, Exterior Snappy, they look comfortable. They do look comfortable. Obviously, you can never say never, but that second, third, and fourth place positions, even fifth place with Bobby, Verse, and Fly, who we haven't talked about much until really the start of the day, have snuck their way into the fold. Look, this final game is going to be a blast. Who knows who's going to pull out, a crazy performance. Every single one of these players is going to be looking in the elimination feed non-stop. Who's gone down? Who's still up? Who do we need to outlast in order to secure our spot in the finals of FNCS?
Yeah, and even down till 6th with Mustache's team being 127. Remember, Victory Royale right now is worth 30 points alone. So with the Victory Royale and some eliminations, you can definitely kind of carry over through some of the other players like Kiriachi's team. But basically anyone in the top 6 right now, you have to keep your eyes peeled on the elimination feed. If we start seeing these teams going down and getting knocked out, this could be the end of it for them in their run in Qualifier 2. Obviously, they have Qualifier 3 and the semifinals after that. But look, this last game is going to mean so much to so many teams.
I don't even want to hear you mention Qualifier 3, Reese. I don't want to hear it. Let's focus on the here and now. I want to see you put in the work now. I don't want to see, no, it's fine. We'll get series plus. It's fine. Series plus, okay, it's fine. Yeah, I understand they're still cool. Get to semifinals or not. Get the top 3 now. Go out there.
Look, and let's be real. We know these huge names, Cammy say, Teague, Vino, Reason, Tayson, all of the Kiriachis out there who are looking for that top 3. And like I said, the consistency that some of these teams have been putting out today has been incredible. And that's why they are so close. Like you mentioned, no one cares about next week. Like, we care about that next week. We're caring about week number 2 right here and what these players are going to have to do to get in this final match up into the top 3.
This is where it also gets way scarier, right? You make a single mistake, you take a bad fight, you take a bad peek, it all could fall apart. So this is it, Fortnite fam. The last game in Qualifier number 2. Which trios will end in that top 3? It all comes down to this very moment in time. Now remember, if you land in 4th, that's still okay. Even placing top 10 is fine because we're playing for the SPL, those series point leaderboards, okay? But this is on. Grab your popcorn, grab the slurp juice, because we're jumping on the battle bus one last time from Qualifier 2 here in the EU of the FNCS. Let's do it. Shy Wagers, Sancho West, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Levin, and Reese from the desk. They're absolutely right, Sancho. We have the finals, multiple FNCSs, multiple qual weeks, but the focus is this next game right here and right now. 6 teams, and any one of them could be first place overall at the end.
It's always about the here and now. It's always about the last envelope you leave. And this is the last game that we're about to cross into. And you said so. 6 trios have the ability to get in, and it's all going to come down to these final moments. And this is going to be a huge moment right now for Mappy, Isterios, and Red Rush, who are currently sitting in first place, and they only fell down once to Zestin Trio, and that was in the opening frame of the Qualifiers 2. Does it happen here at the most inopportune time? We wait with the bated breath.
The most important spawn fight these guys will have today. It is 6 teams looking for that first place slot, but there I think at least maybe 10, almost 15 who can go all the way and hit top 3. That's the a little bit of place for finals overall. That's the overall position you need. But 2 people down right now. Exterios. I mean, Red Rush taken out. It's all up to Mappy. 162 points is what they have so far, and what they might just end with, unless Mappy changes that. But with 1 build used on a floor, I mean, this is just tragedy.
This is tragedy unfolding. Mappy now on a full retreat. Mappy down with 31 HP. And Bagfi Trio is going to send a message and say, we're going to be here. And Bagfi and Zestin get that elimination.
Man,
our first place gone in a blink of an eye.
Dominant, man. They were so dominant the whole day. And this is a risk.
That's what happens when you're contested. Yeah. All it takes is, especially in a set game of 6. When you have 12, you can lose a couple. We've seen that before with Hinge and Chapix. When there's only 6, you cannot have 2 bad games. And just right then and there, our first place team is locked in at 162. So now we're going to go ahead and move to our current second place in that Seti, Cammy, and Teak, who have been facing heartbreak multiple times in the past season. And can they find that true love, which is the finals? I'm here for it. I want to see it. We've been predicting Cammy, Seti, Teak time. The time is now.
If you're watching for 6 games, or if you're just now finally tuning in, what is all this? How does it really work? Well, for the FNCS, we've mentioned, terms on the desk and on cast like semifinals, finals, qual weeks. In the qual weeks, if you hit top 3, if you have enough points at the end of 6 games and you finish top 3 overall, you get to skip everything and go straight to finals. It's very important to have, as Sancho's mentioning, uncontested drop spots. It's very good to have control and power, comfortability, moving in and playing for, what is it in EU? Over $1 million.
Yes.
Cash prizes available, right? Like, that is huge. So right now, the first team, Sancho said, is 162 points. That's how many points they had when all these games are over. They're still first at the moment, but after this, they might not even be in the top 3. Teams are looking to beat that 162-point mark at the moment. Steady, Cammy, Teak, who were just on your screen, and now Kiriachi, Stormray, and Toos. They're the second and fourth place team we're watching for the moment. They're kind of around that 150 to 140 point range. They need 20 points overall, which is doable if they make endgame, and Sancho, they always do. So the question is, can they do it? And when they do it, will they pass Red Rush, Exterios, and Mappy?
There it is, the first circle revealed, and it's going to be in the heart of Pleasant Park. You see, that's going to be a great advantage. It would have been a great advantage for Red Rush's trio, but they're gone. And also, this is going to be a great advantage for Taste's trio. But this is what's quite interesting. And can you just imagine being in this situation where you have an 11 elimination victory royale, and then your next game, you're the first trio out?
It's tough. Yeah. That is just
feels bad,
absolute detriment. But at the same time, there still is a chance.
There's still a
These
chance.
guys are all very good teams. Let's talk about their bad placements. That when the risk does not equal to the reward. 16th place overall for Kiriachi. That's not enough placement points with 3 elims to even, make the gap from 140 to 162. For Tayson, Reason, and Vino, they've come 10th, they've come 11th. They've gotten close to make that jump, but in the 6th game, it's the most different one where all the pressure's on the line. Anything can happen. For Seti, Cammy, Teak, they're flip-floppy, Sancho. They're on vacation right now. They're either coming in the top 3 or they're not even inside the top 10. So they have to make it the whole distance or they don't even get the qual for the finals of the FNCS.
It's all on the line here. And we're all watching the elimination feed. Red Rush and Asterios and Mappy are now watching alongside with us, hoping that they're 162. That's the golden number right next to the health and shield bar. Will that hold? And hey, we've been seeing historically, game 6, somebody comes from out of nowhere with a huge pop-off game, and it could happen here again.
Straight from outer space. Like, you literally don't even think about them. But yo,
I'm just thinking, like, Fast Roki did the same thing, right? He came out of nowhere.
He was very close. Let's talk about some of those teams, right? We'll have Seti, Cammy, Teak on your screen. We'll be going through Tayson. We'll be going through Kiriachi over and over. But yeah, Bursa, Malabuka, Skite, Decipto, some of these names might have an insane game here and might roll all the way through. A game on the line right now might be Tayson's. They're looking for an aggressive fight. They're trying to keep business as usual. Sometimes if you try to play too passive in game 6, you might just have not enough tags. It might not feel like the Fortnite you're used to playing. Tayson, Vino, Reason, you say this all the time, Sancho. They're used to these box-to-box fights. They're confident in winning. They'll smell for it, but they won't actually take a bite out of the people behind them. As a result, though, Tayson starts getting fired upon. This could be bad.
Yeah, License Trio already knocked Tayson in a previous engagement here. So this is still very dangerous for Tayson, Vino, and Reason to take this fight here, especially when the top 3 is on the line. And iRez picked up a couple eliminations as well. And okay, that was earlier. They're still in 16th place. There's just so many shuffles here with the Russians when it comes down to that. But we have to keep an eye on that other Russian team. Sapphics team is the one I'm looking alongside with Putrid.
You guys might be watching along, you know, Chad always thinks they're super smart in terms of what's going down. They can play better than the pros. Why don't these guys just hide? They're 144, 141 points. Why don't they just hide, sit in their boxes, play for endgame? Storm Surge. Fortnite has a mechanic that doesn't let you just, fly by. You have to put effort into these games. You need to deal damage. And that's what Tayson is good at doing. A big snipe. The third one is the charm, and it lands on the meta. You need to basically do enough damage that you're higher than the average of the server, or, some of the lowest teams in the threshold. For this right now, it's 70 players. There's 77 alive, so you have to hit shots. And Tayson gets another one. That's big damage for their thresholds overall. He'll chop down Lazen as well, an opening for more damage for his teammates to roll in with. But Reason and Vino, they get sent forward like attack dogs, and they're in Kerma's box. Reason, this is his home. This is where he performs.
Oh, and
Vino
don't
get knocked. This is so bad because Tayson is so far away, and Reason will have to 1v3 waiting for this man to catch up.
Here it is. Tayson's coming in for the backup to help him out. Reason is right now in a 3v1 there. Oh my goodness. But Tayson gets a huge tag against him. He's going to have to retreat back up to height now, but it's a matter of moments. This is the third place, who's currently sitting at 141. We talked about these engagements. You talk about getting those Storm Surge tags, but this is the risk you take as Reason gets a knock on Kira. So now it's a 2v2 situation. But
oh no.
Leo, that trio is here, the third party, and Tayson is out. He's gone. He's gonna glide out alongside with Reason. I think they got Vino's card, so they can definitely bring back Vino, and they're gonna use that Leo push to be that kind of smoke screen to get away from that engagement.
How did they get the card though? Where was the time when Tayson dropped in and did the big damage? Reason was able to just sneak by, go to the loot body and get it over, but they find out where the weak team actually is. They're pushing straight in and not letting these guys get the reboot off. Tayson has to hide all the way through. That van is a little bit built over, but Reason had to escape. Now Tayson is the target of 3 players who are looking to also finish top 3 of the day, and they might just grab that mantle with their own ARs, with their own hands, taking away the third place team here. Tayson in a 1v3 against the team in 7th place. It's sights on their walls.
Yeah, and if Sky could kind of turn this around, it could be that opportunity to go ahead and sneak into the top 3 with the last fleeting moments of game 6 here. Tayson trying to survive here, gonna dip into the hard mats, jump into the car to hopefully get away. Oh no, hits the speed sign right there and still doesn't get a huge tag. Jumps into another vehicle. He's trying to get away and Leo jumps in. Leo is there. The box fight breaks out. Etsy, I think he has a parasite on his head, but Leo, now it's 50-50. Oh, Tayson could not hold down Leo and Etsy. And now it's up to Reason just to get any kind of points here. The top 3 is right now in shambles. First place already gone. Third place already set to a solo. Second place, Aseti, Cammy, and Teak are still the only ones looking strong as we're going into the last remaining moments. But oh my goodness, one last trio out there with Podesai and Nikov. Maybe they could get their revenge at the right time.
As Sancho's talking about revenge, I think in around game 3, Tayson ends up getting a knock on the Nikov and pushes this POI. It's gonna have Juan Lost, Podesai, and Nikov on full alert at the moment. Reason, he knew exactly what was gonna happen to Tayson all the way back, his teammate in Believer Beach. He instantly ran away. Every named POI you see, so if you see the name Coral Castle or Pleasant Park on the mini map at the bottom right, it has a reboot van. It's not just Believer Beach. It's not just your drop spot you have to be at to get your teammates back up. So Reason tried to go there and get a cheeky reboot, but at the same time, One Lost, he's still there. They're taking their time. They were invaded before. They don't want to make another mistake and be nonchalant about their POI. So a little bit of karma from that early push in a different game with Tayson.
So we saw their Skype, Etsy, and Leo push Tayson's trio. They were coming into this match 108. Reset it on the desk. It is a victory royale for them in a couple of eliminations. Talk about a huge elimination on Tayson. So that's going to be their win condition to get them, their qualified condition, dare I say, to get them in that top 3. So already, hey, you said hide in the bush. Reason may have to do that.
What he's looking for right now, you're wondering, why not go center zone fast, just base up and hide? He's just looking for that reboot to get Vino back in the game and then do this as a duo. Usually, Sancho, and it was today as well, it's Tayson clutching out as a solo at the end, right? 20 points, sometimes almost 30 points with the way he just gets the VR as well in like a 1v6. Now, though, with Tayson down, it's time for Reason and Vino to pick up that clutch slack, basically. They're good, clutches in their own right, but they never have to do it this early.
Now we're seeing a strong top 2 trio right here. Teak, Cammy, and Seti. They're the ones that, they could play passive. They're not going to take these huge peaks. And they're going to need to continue on their track because Kirachi, the consistent trio who slipped just a little bit, is right on their heels. Right now, they're at 145. And then we just saw Seti's trio at 154. But not to mention, Tayson's trio is at 146 right now. So Stormy could easily pass them if they get one elimination, and they will be in the top 3. That's how close it's coming down to it here in this final frame.
Yeah, and it's all just the eliminations that make the difference. Even if Stormy, right, somehow had 10 teammates with him, right, on that bottom left bar, as long as one person's live on your team, you're getting the same amount of placement. So as long as Vino and Reason stay alive, hopefully, if Vino gets back up, they'll be able to stay ahead of Stormy, right, unless, as Sancho said, they get some form of elimination. And if you look at the trios around them right now, Anas, Thomas, and Flick, they don't go down easy. Anyone else I'm thinking about over here, Cammy, Seti, Teak, they're not going to go down. They're not going to overpeak, especially in a game 6.
And we've already seen Tayson make a lot of changes with this trio. I don't think he could afford another trio change when it comes to Vino and Reason. They're going to have to definitely stick together. Hey, there's still another week here, but we've already said this here in the caster quote unquote booth as well as the analyst desk. It's here and now that you want to get into the top 3.
Reason still making sure that Cruel Castle's absolutely free to move into. You'll have 40 seconds to play with until the zone starts to move, and we see how far it is as well. So he's gonna have to hit this reboot van very, very soon. I think he might feel like there's some people targeting him from Believer Beach and following him here. I'm not sure why he hasn't gone for this reboot just yet.
Paranoia is at an all-time high when you feel like all eyes are on you and everybody was saying that you need to qualify in this one, that it's going to be free, Believer Beach uncontested. I did see in the feed a couple of that top 6 picking up some eliminations. We saw Leo's trio pick up an elimination and Puchik's trio, who's sitting in 9th place into this match, picking up some elimination. So people are moving from the top 10, getting closer to top 3. And I just, as I say that, Shizo eliminates Puchik. So Shizo and then Malibu Khan Murstache are moving up, and that is our top 6 team. So movements are happening here while Reason is trying to figure out how to do this reboot.
Everyone around him is basically in spots to surpass his 3rd place spot if he goes down as well. Bobby Versa, I mean, these guys are in 5th place, Sancho. 137 points. They're 4 points behind Reason for the moment. They try to basically move in. They were the reason he could not move and get that reboot. So have to play a little bit more of that heal game. Zone is fairly close by, it looks like, with the speed, but Reason's just in trouble.
There's not enough floppers in the world for Reason to pull out the heal strat. He's gonna have to make his way through. Now all of our attention is on Cammy, Seti, and Teak. 154. They have the ability to finish 1st place, and that would be a great feeling considering that they really couldn't make it qualifiers. And to be able to do it with a 1st place finish in week 2 of the qualifiers, that'll be fantastic for that trio going forward.
I feel like Cammy, Seti, Teak, Kiriachi, Bobby, doesn't matter. They're all safe. I want to still focus on Reason till I see his name inside the feed go down. He's still in the top 3. It's important. Yeah.
I would love to see Reason clutch this out. I mean, we've been watching a lot of heal-offs deep into the storm out there in the orchard. Reason is imaginary. There he is. Whoa, talk about. So here we go. Set the stage.
Look at this, right? So Reason walking in. If you got a chance to look at the mini map, or even just this right now, which you're looking at in front of you, big bases with multiple, trios sharing them. They have a chance to basically look around at every single base, every single box, identify who's weak, who's strong. Reason can't build. If he builds a box here, it'll be very obvious he's a solo player, and people will find him out. He has to find places like this, rat corners underneath other people's ramps, inside the ocean to stay alive. He's finally built now. If anyone's paying attention, Versa, any single trio, they can start firing at him. He gets insta lobby focused. His only win condition right now is to hide in natural terrain and somehow one pump 3 people. Sancho, if anyone can do it, it's Reason. But even then, that's a tall order.
Reason could pull a rabbit out of his hat, and he would still need to do more magic here to be able to make this happen, because he still has Kirachi's trio up on their feet. He's going to have to get a very viable elimination, and he is getting this free of charge. He's getting the VIP. He's getting that.
There it is.
Okay, never mind. There it is. Someone finally saw him, but that may draw the attention of the rest. No, he's going to be able to crouch walk his way through and slowly look for any kind of scraps.
Okay, Bounty Hunter's on the way. Bobby's moving fast. He knows that Reason's by himself. He can't stop here. Got to keep moving, and he can't build either. Every build will leave a few breadcrumbs behind for Bobby to follow. And now he sees the brick. He's going to keep shooting for it. Reason goes in between 5 different trios to try to buy a little bit of time, but he's out of hard mats now. As soon as anyone sees wood, it's over for him. Now he's down to the flimsiest builds he has available. This is 3rd place taken out at 146 points.
And Thomas HD Noxetti. So now you have 3rd place locked in 146. And now Cammie's in trouble.
What?
And Cammie is going to have to clutch again. 154. Cammie taking out against the big names. And this is the opportunity to get in the top 3. But it's going to be another clutch or don't qual situation.
And I mentioned before that you need a name on the map to kind of have a reboot van available for you. Sancho, what does that mini map not have? Any names?
No names.
There's no POI names at all. There is no reboot van. Cammie will not see his family again. Seti and Teak will have to basically spectate him. Hold on to 2nd place. Hold on to this qualifying run, because Bobby is waiting in the trenches. Kiriachi is waiting as well. This could be a top 3 upset completely. And I don't think we've ever seen that before in any qualifier on any region.
Taking a look here at Cammie as a solo. Came in 36th place in Chapter 2, Season 3. He came in 11th place in the solo invitational. So that's what's at stake.
Wow.
And the stake is done. It's over. Locked in 54.
Exactly. That 3-digit number is what's going to be holding their 2nd place run in tow. 146 as well. Looks like 2 Kiriachi and Stormeright have taken over. Vino, Taste, and Reason, they will not be qualifying today, and 154 is their next target. Right behind them, Bobby versus Fly. They're looking forward to. Kiriachi, though, still needs to stay alive. 162 is what Red Rush, Exterios, and Mappy are at. There's so many numbers being thrown at you, but we'll do our best to keep reminding you what to look out for. For now, what 2 needs to beat is 154.
Don't forget, we still have Malibuka as well. Malibuka is still on his feet as a trio. Could definitely have the ability. We've seen him pop off at height. So all is on the line here, where he got 17 trios alive, 46 people, Zone 5 revealed. It's coming down to the wire, folks. Don't you go anywhere. This is Game 6, top 3. And of already, we've seen our top 3 go down.
It's all up to 4th place, down to 10th to see who can actually clap back for the moment. 148, that golden number is what to focus on, as well as the gameplay for Kiriachi. Stormeright and 2's top 3 go straight to the finals. We see that mini-map too. It's over at Pleasant Park. Would there be a clutch reboot available? It doesn't matter, because the top 3 are wiped out. 17 trios, and half of them in the lobby have a chance to make more than $1 million with the prize money if they come top 3. They have a chance to battle for it. Wildflower will have height. That's one of the trios now, and I think 33rd place. So yes, a very different type of king to control the lobby.
2's Kiriachi, Stormeright not taking any chances. They pull the zone. They're going to wait and make sure they have this clean rotation. This is it. Their top 3 is on the line, and when this moving circle starts to happen, are they going to go ahead and be aggressive, or they're just going to stay plant and wait for everyone to rotate? A couple of tags going in on a couple of gliders, but here we go. It is Game 6, and we just entered moving circles. Bobby and Fly are going to have to work as a duo. They're at 154, but Shio, they're at 150 here, so they're getting close and closer to that top 3, and it's all up to Fly to clutch that out.
They've made top 3 now because Reason went down at 146 points. So even 2's with 149, they're inside the top 3. And 1st place is still going to be Red Rush, Exterios, and Mappy. 2nd looks like 154 overall. We'll see if Fly can just boosts himself all the way up. 150 for Toos, 151 for Fly. He moves all the way up as well.
Fly is the solo going up against a trio in Toos, Kirachi, Stormy right. Fly is now on the mid layer, looking around. Only 14 total mats here to his name. He sees somebody in a moment, and Fly is gone. Locked in at 151, and Toos, Kirachi, Stormy right just crossed into 151 with that elimination, getting that placement point. Deceptos being the villain for Fly's run. That team is out, so it's now up to Toos, Kirachi, Stormy right to solidify their top 3 placement here, and it's all about getting into the finals here to get them into that guaranteed spot for a chance to fight for $1 million, but not so fast. Kirachi is down, and now it's up to Toos and Stormy right. Stormy right has been doing it as a solo. Look at that barrel stuff going on through, trying to crash and through and break builds, and now Toos is by himself, 156. Right now they're in second place with Seti at 154, right behind them. Seti's qualifications on the line at 154, and Toos is trying to get to first place, and he's gonna get some hits. 157. Toos is still up on his feet. Down and out and eliminated.
157, the magic number for Toos. 154 for Cammy, who's been taken away so far away before. And then 162 for Red Rush, Exterios, and Mappy. It's still anyone's game. 130 for Hookah. He's looking to just win this entire game out and up the eliminations as well. B Genius popping off. I'm wondering who else is alive for the moment. I think this is going to be the perspective that we have so far. That is the closest to qualing if they win the game. The other 9 trios ahead of them have been taken out. This is the moment for Shuzi and Hookah to absolutely pop off, but they need eliminations. They're playing so safe. They have to use the factor, which is elims, to find a difference with every other trio in the lobby. Zestin's going down, CeeLo going down to the storm, Nate finally taken out as well. Like Flies, every other player is dropping, and they finally find one onto Link.
Can the team that's been in the back of the pack of the 32nd team at height slow down? This is the only chance, but still, what a great run for the top 3. The top 3 entirely went down, and Mappy's hold on. Hookah is going to 3 eliminations total. Shayo, I don't think there's enough on the board. They would have to clear the table to be able to get in the top 3, but stranger things do happen in Fortnite, so we're locked in with Hookah armed with a chug cannon and a green pump.
I think 151 is exactly where he wants to reach to. I believe 154 actually.
154, yeah, 154.
As he tries to move in, so last 30 total points. I don't think it's going to be possible
mathematically
today
no.
Overall.
Not
but
today.
What a run from him regardless. That VR would be huge in terms of practice, in terms of the way series points go as well. So a win on the line is huge for Hookah, but it's going to be a solo situation. 4 different trios alive, or 4 different teams, and 6 players, which means everyone is affected. Lots of solo players. This is definitely possible all the way on low. Low ground's elevation is changing slightly. Put aside very weak. A single edit will do the damage. Will have a shot in, possibly from Hookah. It's not going to be possible. Ramp to block the sight, the vision. No shots taken. Still surviving in the storm. 28 HP, and he lands the pump. Very good from Hookah, but that's just the start. That's the beginning of this clutch story. He has a lot of time still to work with. 10 seconds. 1 team to face. 1v2 for Hookah.
Hookah, and right now down to HP. I think Peach definitely has the win condition. Peach's trio. It's getting close. Let's see. There it is. Yeah, Peach had the medi play in the back pocket. Well, what a great finish to Game 6. Congratulations to Peach, Waffler, and Wadzi for getting the Game 6 victory royale. But it was all about that top 3 finish, Shayo.
All about the top 3. I believe Kiriachi is the one who did the work all the way from 4th, jumps in. Reason knocked out, I think, that 4th place slot again. The curse of 4th place for this trio. Cammy said he hold on, and it's Red Rush at the end, Sancho, who I think with 162 holds that top line.
Oh, let's see if that all holds. I definitely love this format when it comes to qualifiers. So far, I feel like every single time, Shayo, it's come down to Game 6, and Game 6 did not disappoint.
Not at all, and this is the first time everyone had a chance to grab towards the top, but not a lot of people made it. Who did, though? The desk knows. We'll toss it over to Zeke, Levin, and Reese. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week for more FNCS.
Gentlemen, thank you guys so much. You're absolutely incredible. We love the way that you cast games. I mean, boys, they bring the hype every time, every week. But my goodness, a curse. Levin, a curse could not be more correct when it comes to Tayson and company. We'll get there in a second. First, we got to talk about our top 3 trios, the ones that will be making it through. And I just got to say, massive congrats. Red Rush, Mysterios and Mappa from nowhere, literally having a game 3 second place and then a game 5 coming in hot, victory royale, and then just keeping that consistency factor up. It was enough, Levin.
Yeah, and look, it was that game 3 that I talked about that, right? I talked about how, as a team, you want to have that turnaround. There is always that potential to come back in this type of a format. And they did, right? Obviously, the next game, they only got 9, but then to win that game with 11 eliminations. And obviously, you talked about Curse, right? We actually did almost see that play out, right? Where they went down off spawn, in 31st place in that final game. That would have been absolutely awful, but congratulations to them on the day.
Yeah, they played absolutely incredible for them. Like, let's be real. Like, the highest solo impact that we had for them, which was from Exteriors, was 19. So that's incredible, above anyone else that's currently in the lobby right now. So huge performance for them. And look, like you mentioned, they were eliminated off spawn in that final game, but because they had such a big performances in the other, 2 top 2 finishes, a second and a first, with almost double-digit elimination in like both of those games, huge performance. We haven't really seen that in this week at all.
Yeah, and almost uncharacteristic of them. I talked about a bit earlier where, it's just the frame of mind for me is just very honest, where I didn't expect to see them come in like the way they did, but genuinely an impressive performance. And to see these guys in an FNCS finals, they will be absolutely chuffed with how they performed today. A brilliant performance, and genuinely, right, like, there's going to be plenty to go back and watch in terms of seeing how they're able to actually do this, because now going into that final qualifier, you're going to want to try replicate this kind of performance from these guys. Incredibly consistent.
You do have to remember, however, they've qualified from Boney Burbs. They're going into the finals, and who else is in Boney Burbs right now? We've got Aqua, Vadil, and Noah Rayleigh, who are already positioned up in that drop spot. So are they going to have to change that up?
No, they will. There's no sort of, will they have to change up? They will have to change up. You're not trying to contest those guys, right?
No.
But, hey, look, pay attention to Boney Burbs next week. We'll see. Maybe another qualifier will come out of that POI. Clearly, there's something to it this season. Genuinely, though, right? Like, outside of just those guys, obviously, Zeke, you said we talk about it, but look, Tayson's trio not pulling again when they happen to get lightning strike twice and getting uncontested. I don't know what to say, man. It's tough.
It's tough, bro. It is. Let's take a look at the final standings on the day from qualifier number 2. So I think, okay, we've talked about the top 3. We'll kind of circle back to them in just a little bit. I think for Tayson's trio, 100% they've already made it to semifinals, right? There's no question about that based on the SPL, the series point leaderboard points, right? The problem is, like you said, they start the day with a victory royale, 8 eliminations, right? Mm-hmm. And then, Reese, they just let the foot off the gas. I'm not sure what's happening, but like, they have that potential to make the top 3, but something is not working out, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned this when we were kind of talking about after their first game, is that the same thing as last week. They started off really hot and then just kind of slowed down as things went on. Pretty much whenever we looked into them, they had lost one member of their team. So they were pretty much always left as a duo or then as a solo after that. So, whenever they're looking at their fighting later on, they're definitely have to start assessing the positioning and how they split each other and how they're overcommitting to fights potentially in that kind of mid game, because they are consistently losing one player, and that has obviously put them down into that 5th, which has hurt them quite a lot. But in all honesty, let's be real, they performed really well. Just had a couple of games. Coming 5th is super good. But one team I think we have not talked about enough today has been Bobby, Versa, and Fly. Realistically, I don't think they've gotten their time to shine on the leaderboards as much as it could have, because let's be real, 151, they were 3 points away from qualifying up into the top 3 slot. That last game, unfortunately, we watched so close, as I think it was Fly left alive as a solo, and just like 300 below Storm Surge at that point. So it's tough to kind of clutch that back as solo, but so close.
No, honestly, it's painful for them, right? Because they would have obviously felt like they've almost been robbed, right? Where they were just so close to making it through. They had 2 games back-to-back where they got 4th place, 9 eliminations. Brilliant games for them. And, like I said at the start of the show, right? Versa was someone who, a year ago now showcased how talented he was. Bobby is someone who in recent seasons has actually, sort of almost surprised us every single season and, maybe sneaking into the finals or having a good performance in the heats. And so, look, these guys, there's the blueprint there for them. They have all the talent in the world, and it's good to see them performing. Unfortunately, Fly just wasn't able to get enough points there towards the end. But look, on the day, we've had some interesting games. I just can't get over Tayson just not being able to make it through again. I feel like it's just, you know, after the way they started, it wasn't able to pay out. You can see here, though, Etsy, Sky, Leo, one of the Frenchy teams who, you know, definitely impressive. This game was a really good game for them. SD, of course, coming out hitting some crucial shots at the end there, you can see, to sort of close things out and secure things, but wasn't able to materialize into anything for them, really.
No, unfortunately. And, you know, like we said, if it's not top 3, it's still good, still get series leader points, but it's not what any of these real players are looking for. They're looking for that top 3 slot. Same with Bodasai, Wanlos, and Nikov. You know, when I see them being a Coral Castle team, and this was the game that pulled endgame towards Coral Castle, that they managed to pick up so many eliminations on, this was really, really, really huge to them. You know, if you've ever heard me talk ever, you know that this drop spot in particular is so tough to kind of fight out of and make sure you rotate over early game. To see them pick up a big victory was really, really good in this game, but obviously, like saying, they didn't manage to continue it out throughout the day either.
Yeah, and you can see here, right, these are, you know, 2 players, or 3 players, I should say, who are very, very impressive. And we talked about them having a lot to prove. Obviously, Cammy, Seti, and Teak, on the day, they really had a good game. And I think, generally, right, this will be a great confidence booster for them. You know, I think moving forward now, that's sort of what they needed, right? They needed to have a really good performance like this again. And honestly, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing these guys in the actual finals, right? Like, you know, it's been a while now, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely. You know, last season, it was, like you mentioned earlier, it was tough. It's tough to see Kamisei and Teak be so close in basically every qualifier in the semifinals and then through the reboot rounds too. But I guess they're going to be so happy, and hopefully, you know, we can all congratulate them for making it this season. And I think they're going to make an absolute stomping, I'm going to say it right now, in the finals. Like, when you get to these situations, that's where they're so comfortable. And I hope we see Mappy, Red Rush, and Exteriors do the same thing, right? These guys have performed so good today. I hope they can continue that streak through into the finals, where all the prize money is, all of the bragging rights, everything is. And they also, just a good note, is that they won while contested as well. They won while contested. So as much as we love to talk about contested, uncontested, I've talked about it way too much. It's a storyline that I'd like to move away from. But look, these guys did the props. They managed to win while contested.
And in that final game, of course, Peach, Waffler, that trio was able to win it out. And, you know, it's a shame, right? They couldn't, you know, maybe do a lot more on the day. But nevertheless, a nice way to finish the day. It's good to know you can get a win in these kind of lobbies moving forward. And of course, right, you know, at the end of the day, you're trying to get points on the board for the SPL.
That's right, man. That is right. And once again, not to take anything away from our top 10, because like Levin just said, if they can place top 10, they're looking real good. They're earning those series points. And with 1 qualifier left, they can make it to semis. But we'll have to see, because that is our problem next week. We're wrapped up for EU here from the FNCS qualifier number 2. We know, we hate to say goodbye. We love hanging out with all of you and casting and talking about all the Fortnite action. But for now, we're done. As always, please give these 2 a follow. Give a follow to Shy Wager and SashaOS. We love all of these human beings. They're incredible. Fortnite fam, remember, we're back next week. But if you want more action, me and Reese are about to get on the battle bus. We're going over to NA East, and that's where you can find us for more if you want more. Until next time, Fortnite fam, we love you, and we'll see you guys on the battle bus. Reese, let's go! We're the battle bus! Let's go, baby!
You just caught 24K Golden's new video. Keep watching.